identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Are you tired of paying too much? Rescue Natural Supplements are rolling back prices to 2013 on top of Memorial savings all month long. That's right. For the entire month of May, you can buy 2 products, get 1 free, or buy 3 products and get 2 free on every single Rescue supplement. Combine decade-old rolled back prices with free bottles for huge savings. Stock up on all your favorites. 1250 Omegas, cholesterol supporters, probiotic, and brand new health gummies are all on sale. To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a Rescue product consultant or shop online, res-q.com, res-q.com. Don't miss out on this opportunity to save big. Rescue is over 50 products to target your health goals, and everything is on sale. Rolled back prices and memorial deals start now and last through the end of the month. So go shop res-q.com today. That's res-q.com.
One of the best ways to extend the life of your air conditioner and prevent breakdowns is an annual check of your system. Oliver's 20-point inspection from a certified technician includes a test of all major operations of your air conditioner. Schedule your appointment for your AC safety inspection by May 31st and pay only $70. Call Oliver today to schedule your appointment and stay nice and cool all summer. Oliver Heating and Cooling. Peace of mind for your home and business.
Tasty Cake believes it's what's on the inside that counts, but a sweet new wardrobe for spring doesn't hurt. Your favorite Tasty Cake treats like butterscotch crimpets, candy cakes, pecan swirls, and more are now in new packaging. The treats you know and love have not changed a bit, only their fresh new packaging. So spring into the season and grab yourself a Tasty Cake treat today, because the only thing better than what's on the outside is what's on the inside. Tasty Cake, except no substitutes.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
Shirelle Parker has won the Democratic nomination for Philadelphia mayor. Democratic Dan McCafferty and Republican Carolyn Carluccio have won their primaries in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court race, and 3 New Jersey teens are facing charges in the deadly shooting of a taxi driver in Franklin Township.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio, now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. Free speech lives here. It's Kayal Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And away we go, live on this Wednesday, May 17th. It is indeed Kayal Company here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We are always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live for your video viewing pleasure on YouTube as we head until 10 o'clock this morning. 855-839-1210. The phone number, Twitter and Instagram at 1210 WPHT. I am at Nick Kayal, Kayal. Don Stenslin with the news. Greg Stocker, the chairman of the board. Anthony Dorenzo, Daniel Valdez, our associate producers. It's an action-packed hump day. Tony Bruno's going to join us coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, as he does every other week. And, oh, man, do we have some stuff to delve into today. Don Stenslin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing great. Big, lot of election news to go through.
I think a lot of us are doing better than Helen Gim and Doc Rivers are this morning. Greg Stocker?
Who's the bigger loser? Helen Gim or Doc Rivers?
They are both heading for an exit lunch this afternoon.
Yep.
Around 1 p.m.
Well, I think Doc Rivers expected the fate that was to come. Helen Gim did not.
That is correct. That is a great way to put it. And I don't know that she thought she would finish in third place, much less not winning yesterday or in the evening hours or the late hours of last night. I stayed up until about 11:15 trying to track all of this and keep up to date with what people were tweeting, and I'm like,
why?
I just wanted to see Helen Gim keep falling down down the list. I'm like, could she fall down below Alan or Jeff? That would be nice. But we got a lot of good stuff to get to.
You know, we said this yesterday, but like the white guys had no chance in this election.
No, they did not.
Sorry.
Like I've been telling you, it's wrong to be white these days and to be a dude. But it's not wrong to be a new listener of Kayal Company. Just want to read this quick email before we go to Dawn with the news here. We get an email yesterday from an individual named Mike Mazzarella, and he says, Greg, you, Nick, and Dawn have a fantastic show. I listened to Angelo Cataldi for years, and I am so pleased that I have found your show after he retired.
Nice.
You know, not our style to brag. Act like you've been there before, right?
What's his name, Mike? Matt? Mike?
That is Mike Mazzarella.
Thank you, Mike.
He also has a question about Trump and suing the media outlets following what has transpired with the Durham report. We'll answer that question coming up after the big take, but we appreciate you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Welcome aboard. All right, 6:05. It's a Wednesday morning, and it's an action-packed day of news. Here to break it all down and fill you in is the great Dawn Stenslin.
And good morning, Kayal Company News Live, this 6 a.m. hour. If you're just waking up to the news, it appears Democrat Shirelle Parker is on top. Wasn't even close. I will say I predicted this right from the get-go.
Yes, you did. You said this about 6 weeks ago on this show, if I recall.
You know, my husband will always say, but women, we like to say we were right when we were right, so I have to rub it in.
There you go. I like it.
But no, Shirelle Parker, the pollsters told us as late as yesterday that, this was neck and neck. It was too close to call. We were quoting that Emerson poll yesterday, but every single poll said that it was a neck and neck situation between 4 to 6 of those candidates. But in truth, as we look at this morning, Shirelle Parker, the clear winner, not even close in winning this history-making Philadelphia Democratic mayoral primary. Democrats obviously are registered 7-1. So for every 7 Democrats, there is 1 Republican. I heard David O. Being interviewed, and he said, well, I should be able to win 50% of Republicans. And I thought, did he mean to say Democrats, or does he really think he can only get 50% of Republicans? That's not very helpful.
No, not at all.
Oh, my goodness.
Poor David.
I know.
Did I hear that it was actually a record low turnout for
23%.
Jesus.
Wow.
So when I was voting,
oh my God.
We voted at St. Mark's Church in Chestnut Hill, and we were saying at that, and we waited until kids were getting off school, so it was 3 o'clock-ish. So the polls had obviously been open since 7 a.m., and they said, it's 20-ish percent.
Mm-hmm.
So quite a low turnout. And
yes.
But remember, they predicted a low turnout, and they said because it was a low turnout, that's why they thought that the mayoral election may only be decided by 50 or 60 votes. And that's not the case.
Right.
And Shirelle Parker, I know that they're still counting, and we have 89+% in with the counting going on. The only close one that I really see that's of record is Cindy Bass, Councilwoman Cindy Bass, and she's been in battle, but she's still ahead, maybe 200 votes. So I know we'll get into the weeds with all of that. Another big story locally, and this is that Democrats, through pouring money, more than $1 million into a local suburban race, this is Delaware County, Democrats have kept the Pennsylvania House majority by winning this special election in Delaware County. So partisan, longtime party Democrat Heather Boyd wins the seat in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives and representing the Philly Burbs. This is the 163rd district there in Delco. So she has beaten Republican Katie Ford for that vacancy that was created by scandal-ridden Democrat Representative Mike Zabel. Now, you'll see in the headlines, you won't see that he was scandal-ridden. This was a major scandal, And he resigned and essentially said something like it was a sort of apology. He needed some kind of counseling, but he was accused by multiple, not one or two, multiple women of for up to 4 years groping, harassing, and if not for our friend Todd Shepard with Broad and Liberty, who ultimately broke the story and was on it and was interviewing these women, Republicans and Democrats who were quite hesitant to come forward because he's married. And the one Republican said, it was an event. He was liquored up the one time and try to give the guy a benefit of the doubt. I mean, really giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I was really sloshed.
But ultimately, this was going on for 4 years. And so that was one thing that Republican Katie Ford, who's never been in politics, Army veteran, stepped up 61 days ago to take on this special election. So kudos to Katie Ford.
And Biden got involved in this election, too, which is kind of unheard of for a president, right?
Yeah.
For this local race.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
When that happened, it was breaking news. When he was here Monday, Greg and Nick, I was stunned. You never hear that.
I know.
And
they must have been worried.
They were worried because Katie Ford is an excellent candidate, likable, a child with autism, special needs, and just beloved in the community. But all of those attack ads, Governor Josh Shapiro getting involved. They spent a fortune. Democrats poured money into this local election. So for the GOP, this is a situation, honestly, Republicans let this one go. And it's one, how many times have we talked about the fact that the GOP needs a makeover?
Yeah, countless times, especially on this show, for sure.
So we'll talk about all of it, but that razor-thin majority is kept by Democrats as Katie Ford has. I'm not going to say she lost. The Democrats won that one with Heather Boyd. There's so much else that we want to get through today, and of course, more fallout with the Durham report, of course. And then yesterday morning, mid-morning, we heard that breaking news that really no surprise. Doc Rivers fired with the 2 years left on his deal. And after that disappointing, just embarrassing Sixers loss, it was expected. So Doc Rivers gracious, for sure.
No, he's
very gracious.
Class act, but you can't fire the players. We realize that. But it's a good life, though, for Doc Rivers. You get to go home for a little bit and get paid not to work. It's a good life if you can get it.
Well, we have much cooler temperatures in the T-Mobile Weather Center forecast. So yesterday we were 81 degrees. Today, and we were joking that it was 81, much like Martha Stewart in her swimsuit, and who looks awesome, and that really still is going viral, and everybody's talking about it. But not so much swimsuit weather today. We don't even make it out of 70 degrees. So starting out in the 50s this morning, 63 right now. The high today, 65, bright sunny skies, but it becomes quite breezy, 25-mile-an-hour winds this afternoon. So quite breezy, 65, won't feel like 65 this afternoon. Tomorrow, 68, crisp, bright, sunny skies. And then we warm up Friday and Saturday, 72 degrees, with a chance of some showers moving through Saturday. Sunday, however, 79 degrees and partly sunny. So we pop back up to that summer-like weather. Sunday, the better day. This is Tuesday or the Wednesday morning post-election day, Kayal Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 6:12 on this Wednesday morning. Let's get to a midweek big take.
The Big Take on Kayal Company.
All right, the big take this morning, election interference via the feds. What to do about the Dems tag team partner? Over the last 7 years, we have had back-to-back presidential elections where the Department of Justice and the intelligence community have colluded with the Democratic Party on the national stage. In 2016, all we heard about was Donald Trump and Russia collusion every single freaking day. Russia, Russia, Russia. And as we know today, and knew then, it was fake news. Fast forward, and we arrive at 2020. Once again, Democrats and the feds in bed together as we're told that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. And once again, Republicans were right. The laptop was real. And once again, Trump was right. It was the laptop from hell. But how do you win a presidential election when your opponent, the Democratic Party, has the DOJ and the FBI in their back pocket? on top of the massive media advantage of mainstream media compared to conservative outlets like talk radio, Fox News, various podcasts, or websites. We're clearly outnumbered. And we know that the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Philadelphia Inquirer right here locally are all left-wing publications. And then you throw in MSNBC, CNN, ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, Facebook, Instagram, Google, Yahoo, and Apple, and you have a massive, one-sided, lopsided fight. And the biggest battle is reaching the casual observer, who probably spends 5 minutes a day consuming news, perhaps 2 or 3 times a week. And all they hear is something like this. Take a listen.
Sort of collusion.
Trump-Russian possible collusion.
Trump-Russian metal collusion.
Trump-Russia possible collusion.
Trump-Russian potentially collusion.
Trump-Russia possible collusion.
Trump-Russian possible collusion.
Trump-Russian collusion. Trump-Russian collusion. Trump-Russia possible collusion. Trump-Russian possible collusion. Russian collusion.
Trump-Russian possible collusion.
Trump-Russian possible collusion. Trump-Russians collusion.
Collusion with the Russians. Trump-Russia possible collusion. Trump-Russia possible collusion.
Trump-Russia possible collusion.
Trump-Russia possible collusion.
Trump-Russia possible collusion.
Trump-Russia possible collusion. Trump-Russia possible collusion. Trump-Russia potential collusion. Trump-Russia potential collusion.
And the Kremlin and be in collusion with Putin. And the Kremlin and be in collusion and Putin. And the Kremlin and be in collusion.
17 agencies. 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed.
17 of them.
Ah, yes, that was a media montage about Trump and Russia collusion. Perhaps some of you thought that had a nice, catchy beat. Some of you probably had their head explode just now at 6:15 on a Wednesday morning. And that media montage about Trump and Russia and collusion featured media hacks such as Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, Chuck Schumer, Aaron Burnett, Bernie Sanders, Chris Cuomo, Anna Navarro, Jake Tapper, Bill King, Joy Reid, Gayle King, and the rest of the lame stream media. And then we have 2020, where once again, the network TV donkeys took the bait again and spread disinformation to the American public about Hunter Biden's laptop and Russian disinformation. Take a listen to this.
Of international espionage.
Serious questions tonight about whether the Russians are using Rudy Giuliani to interfere in the U.S. presidential election.
This looks like your classic disinformation campaign.
Giuliani has admitted before to working with a known Russian agent to dig up dirt on the Bidens.
There are fears that what Giuliani is now pushing here in the United States could actually be part of Russia's latest and very massive disinformation campaign in the U.S. presidential election.
It may very well be a Russian hack and dump operation.
It is so obviously a Russian operation.
That is Russian misinformation.
This is a, quote, Russian disinformation operation.
Appears to be and has all the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Who do you think is behind this?
Well, the Russians would be my number one guess.
U.S. authorities are seeing if those emails we just talked about are connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
That was a flashback from MSNBC, CNN, and CBS, who told viewers the same fake talking points. Russian disinformation. It's unreal. But actually, it's very real because we keep the receipts. So how do we prevent it from happening a third straight time in 2024? And what have we learned from 2016 as well as 2020? Well, we've learned that it's a stacked deck that the GOP faces. We've learned that candidates matter, as we saw in the 2022 midterms here locally in Pennsylvania, with Dr. Oz and Doug Mastriano being terrible choices. And we know that messaging ultimately matters. We've also come to the realization, at least I hope we have, that we need to take advantage of mail-in balloting and do every single thing that Democrats do and take advantage of in the days, weeks, and months leading up to Election Day. You know, in sports, you can't skip training, not participate in practice, and then expect to dominate on game day. Well, maybe Allen Iverson could, but most people can't. Same thing in politics and with elections at any level. You need to maximize your chances by increasing your odds with every conceivable tactic at your disposal. It's what the Democrats do, and they do it well. This audience is angry about what has transpired, from knowing at the onset that this was happening, to being labeled conspiracy theorists or election deniers, to threats to American democracy. And then when validated, Republicans, not given any credit from those on the left who said, you're nuts, and the media offering no apologies for their intentional misinformation and agenda, that ultimately gets proven to be false. And even though they've been exposed, you know damn well that won't stop them from impacting the 2024 election to continue pushing left-wing, progressive, radically woke agendas down the throats of everyday Americans. Heck, it's already begun. Alvin Bragg v. Trump, E. Jean Carroll v. Trump. Those get the headlines, but intentionally omitted are headlines like Trump not liable for rape, or Durham report reveals absolutely nothing other than the fact that the feds failed to act. All buried on the back burner, all on purpose. This is why Elon Musk buying Twitter was a game changer. This is why 1210 WPHT is a game changer. Same with Fox News, Newsmax, and other conservative talk outlets and publications. They all matter. But those are just a few things. American voters are there for the taking, but you need the right candidate with the right message, knowing the balance of fighting the culture wars, which we talk about a lot on this show, with the right balance of fighting for the everyday kitchen table issues that impact Americans' bank accounts on a week-to-week, paycheck-to-paycheck basis. And maybe most importantly, voting with your head and not with your heart, which is why figuring out the Trump-DeSantis dynamic is going to be critical in the coming weeks and months. It is so crucial not to have a misstep when it comes to these two individuals. And if you believe 2020 was stolen, ask yourself this: what's going to prevent them from doing it again in 2024? The left has used the media in 2016 and social media in 2020. Now they're using the courts in 2023 to impact 2024. Another way to prevent this is doing what I've insisted for over a month now, and that's getting to the young Generation Z demo out there today, because they are the future of tomorrow. Scary to think about, but it's reality. And are you really going to let the Biden administration use Instagram and TikTok influencers who are 14 years old and can't even grow a beard to determine who the next president is? Go out there and beat them at their own game. You have all the tools at your disposal. You just have to use them. You also have to share these stories and the news with the majority of Americans that don't pay attention to the truth on an everyday basis. Everybody on this show, everybody listening to this show, we're the oddballs. We're deep in the weeds. Most people are not. And the dopes that get their news from their smartphone or their Facebook feed, we're not reaching those people. You ranting and raving on Rumble and your little Republican bubble does nothing but ignite your base. And newsflash, your base is already there. They're locked in. They're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Dawn's not going anywhere. Got to get to the other people. And as I said yesterday, in regards to Helen Gim, Democrats in the city of Philadelphia, as we get to elect a new mayor, you get what you vote for. The same applies to Republicans, conservatives, and every faction within the GOP. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different outcomes and results. All of the answers have been given to you and laid right out in front of you. Question is, what are you prepared to do about it? And is there anything you can do about it? We'll see if we pass the test. And that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal Company.
All right, Big Take Wednesday morning. If you have thoughts, comments, or reaction, 855-839-1210 on social media at 1210 WPHT or in the Kayal Company comment community on YouTube. 855-839-1210. We'll come back, get Dawn and Greg's reaction to that, as well as all the fallout, the results, and some of the figures when it came to the primary last night in Philadelphia. A lot to delve in with, a couple of questions to ask you about as well. We'll do all of that coming up next. It's Wednesday. It's Kayal Company, and we're right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
You're invited to a private showing of the most important movie you'll see in retirement. The Baby Boomer Dilemma is a groundbreaking documentary from award-winning director Doug Orchard. Throughout the film, Nobel Prize winners, PhDs, and esteemed economists expose the cracks in the financial industry that have 401ks and Social Security on the brink of collapse. After the movie, Crash Proof Retirement will share the solutions discussed by these experts, including the proprietary Crash Proof Retirement System, which provides guarantees backed by the financial life insurance industry, such as principal protection, the potential for double-digit returns, and an 85% tax-free income over 10 years, which can be increased as needed. Reserve your seat now for this private screening of The Baby Boomer Dilemma at the William Penn Inn on June 6th at 5 p.m. Call 800-722-9728 or visit crashproofretirement.com.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Every once in a while, you come across a deal that you can't pass up. And if you live in an older home, you'll want to listen up. I've told you how USA Insulation completely changed how my home feels. I've told you how it's paid for itself in energy savings. And if you haven't had your home insulation upgraded yet, I'm here to tell you that now is the time. The discounts are bigger than they've ever been. This month, during National Home Improvement Month, you can get free install labor. You pay for the foam. USA Insulation will install it for free. Plus, there's an energy credit that puts up to $1,200 back in your pocket. You got to take advantage of this before the summer heat. They can insulate almost any type of home, including brick homes. Over 100,000 homeowners can't be wrong, including me. 1-800-USA-FOAM. That's 1-800-USA-FOAM or usainsulation.net, usainsulation.net.
The following conversation brought to you by Omega. 800-300-9ERC. That's 800-300-9372. OmegaTaxCredits.com.
I thought I couldn't get the ERC if I got the PPP loan.
Nope. If you're a business owner with 5 to 500 employees, you might be eligible.
I thought it was really difficult to apply for the ERC.
Not if you use Omega. See, Omega is an accounting firm that has been around for over 15 years. They are a true accounting firm that will have a fiduciary relationship with you and your business, and they don't get paid until you get paid.
But I'm sure it takes forever to find out if you're eligible.
Again, no. If you call 800-300-9ERC, you could learn if you're a good candidate in less than 10 minutes.
I make a call that takes less than 10 minutes, and I can find out if my company is pre-qualified to receive a tax credit up to $26,000 per employee.
During the qualifying time frame, yes.
I'm checking out OmegaTaxCredits.com right now.
This conversation was voiced by actors that belong to a company that has already filed for their ERC.
The summer starts here, so it's time to enjoy the savings going on at Toyota. Choose from your favorite models, including RAV4, Camry, Highlander, and Tacoma. Shop online at Toyota.com or visit your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, Costco members have a $2,500 incentive on the purchase or lease of an electric Volvo. There is a $1,000 incentive on all gas and hybrid 2023 models. Explore this safe and versatile 2023 XC90 and take advantage of special financing, a rate of under 5%. Visit Cherry Hill Volvo for a full list of extraordinary offers for both new and previously owned Cherry Hill Volvos. Visit us now. We have the inventory and we have competitive offers.
The Dude Dental Group, official dentist of the Philadelphia Eagles, is a proud supporter of the Talk Radio 1210 Radiothon for the Travis Manion Foundation. Dr. Dilip Dudat grew up in North Wales, graduated from North Penn High School and Temple Dental School. Today, Dr. D and his team supports our local area by providing advanced dental care using the latest technology at 30 area practices and contributes to the local economy with 250 team members. The Dudat Dental Group, proud supporter of the Travis Manion Foundation. Visit PhiladelphiaEaglesDentist.com. Chronic pain, cancer, fatigue. Find out about the benefits of medical hydration therapy on Health Watch with Dr. Molly Fantasia every Sunday morning at 8 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Don't miss the Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Calling on Harleysville to follow 1210 WPHT in the free Odyssey app.
Download it now.
Day number 3 of the John Petrungolo Kayal Company playlist as we welcome you back in. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. John was our Travis Manion Foundation Radiothon winner as he posted the biggest donation to take control of the rejoiners and the music all week long, giving Greg Stocker a little bit of a break this week on the ones and twos, as they say.
It is nice, I must say. It is nice not having to make a playlist every day.
Greg Stocker's going to go to the bosses and be like, hey, any room in the budget for a playlist-only posting that we could put up on the Odyssey Career website?
But it's a great sponsor idea.
Yeah, I know it is. Yep. But, we're having trouble just getting out. That's another story.
Truthfully, we all know somebody who really does know music.
Yeah.
Dan Piazza. He would do a playlist for you for a week.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's true.
Because he really knows music.
Yeah.
Right. He knows cars, too, I've heard.
Dan, if you're listening right now, and I think he is an early listener, so if you're listening right now, email me a playlist. I would love to play it.
Yeah, we'll do the Piazza Auto Group playlist
Wouldn't
of the
that be
week.
Fun?
Yeah.
The sellable feature right there.
Yeah.
When we had that lunch, I thought Greg was like in love, as far as because you have a kindred spirit in somebody
music.
who knows knows music and cars, because you love cars too.
Well, he was like, he started talking about heavy metal music from the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're speaking my language, sir. Yep. It's like two ships passing. Woo!
Yeah, we'll get to those car deals a little later. Let's talk shop right now. How about that music? So there you go, 855-839-1210. But a lot of people very angry with the FBI, and rightfully so. And that was one of the reasons that we got into that with the big take this morning. We mentioned one of our new listeners, Mike Mazzarella, who praised the show, but then also had a question about why Donald Trump doesn't sue the media outlets and or the FBI officials for defamation the same way Dominion sued Fox. I mentioned yesterday on the show, that Trump has a $475 million suit against CNN for defamation. To be honest, I looked for it for like a half hour yesterday online. I mean, can you sue the FBI for defamation? Is that a thing?
No, it's tough. Most of the time you can't sue the government.
Okay.
And even if you could, like look at CNN, look at what they did to, what was his name? Nicholas Sandmann, this teenage kid. And these are tough. It is really tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's a high bar for defamation, and especially when you are a public person.
It's true.
So they can basically say icky stuff about you, and there's not much any of us can do.
Unless you're E. Jean Carroll, and then you hit Trump with a $5 million suit, right?
But she wasn't, to be fair, she wasn't really famous. She was a columnist, but I don't think she was really famous.
No. She's more famous now at 79 years old than probably she ever was before.
Her husband was famous. We talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
Her husband, John Johnson, was the famous anchorman, ABC News, the Jim Gardner of New York.
Right.
A long time African-American gentleman, by the way. And that was one of the things that apparently at some points when the marriage was breaking up, she had made some quite racist, ugly comments about her ex-husband.
That's
and
correct.
They wanted to enter some of that, some of, her character issues, and the judge disallowed that.
Not to be confused with John Johnson down the hall on the sports station. That's a different John Johnson. Nikki Haley also saying that heads need to roll with the FBI as the Republican presidential candidate, calling for the FBI and heads to roll after the release of Special Counsel John Durham's report on the origins of the investigation into ties between Donald Trump and the Russian government on Monday. She was on America's Newsroom on Fox yesterday saying that this type of stuff is the things that you expect to happen in a third world country. She goes on to say, this doesn't happen in America. I fought those things at the United Nations. I mean, to see what happened is unthinkable. Heads need to roll over this. Anybody that touched it or had a part in it needs to be fired, and every one of their senior managers needs to be fired. The FBI has lost complete credibility when it comes to this, and they've got a lot of fixing to do to get the trust back of the American people. She also goes on to say that Democrats need to answer for this too, because this is not about Republicans or Democrats. This should not happen to any American as we go forward. Some pretty strong comments from Nikki Haley, who I think has really kind of found her groove right now. I think she's in a good place. Doesn't mean she's going to ultimately win the Republican nomination. But, we kept hearing from like Politico and these left-wing publications, Kamala Harris expected to hit her groove in year 3 as the Veep. I would argue Nikki Haley's found a better groove in 2 or 3 months than Kamala Harris has in 3 years. And at the very least right now, and I know we'll probably go back and forth on this and things will flip and change, I feel like she's positioned herself really well to be the vice president if that ends up being a distinct possibility under Donald Trump. I know, Dawn, you're very strong and very high on her. And I just, the more I watch her, the more I listen to her, everything that comes out of her mouth, she delivers it with conviction. And I like that about her a lot.
Yeah, I think she has the ability to, first of all, she's obviously a brilliant woman, was very successful, governor of South Carolina, and went on to be ambassador to the United Nations and so on. And she's worked under Boeing. And so she has a lot of experience in business in the private sector as well as working in government.
Yeah.
But I love her because she has the ability to be a gracious lady. She's ladylike, and she's a gracious lady, yet she's passionate and strong and has those convictions, and she carries that with such grace. And I really appreciate that.
It's funny you say that because I think they're right there with the word grace is kind of the line where I look at strong Nikki Haley versus over-the-top demonstrative in Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like if you're going to draw the line, what separates the two? I think Nikki Haley has more grace than Marjorie Taylor Greene does. And I'm not trying to take a shot at her, but I think you can absolutely see the difference in the two right there.
And okay, I know that Marjorie is a polarizing figure, but I love her too.
Right.
I really, I love her. She's this little fighter, and she does her cross. If you've never looked at her CrossFit video just for a giggle, the woman is so physically fit. She could take any of us in a second.
And you got to be tough to do CrossFit.
She's a little spitfire.
I tried it once. I cried like a baby after like 17 minutes.
Didn't she have an affair with a trainer too?
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I've never been with a trainer. Then again, I've never employed a trainer. I never could afford to have my own trainer.
By the way, I think that's what I read.
I didn't. I'll have to look that one up. A little juicy, but she's one. I mean, yesterday she with that Durham report, and we were also fuming when this came out on Monday night, and then we're distracted with our local elections. But she came out and she's like, Christopher Wray, impeachment hearings, and I do love her that she's a spitfire, her passion, and even though yes, she's not Nikki Haley and she's over the top and all of that good stuff, I do appreciate her.
Who do you guys think is more of a winning? What do you guys think is more of a winning ticket? Trump DeSantis, because we know, yes, that is possible.
Yes, we've confirmed that officially.
Or Trump Nikki Haley, or Trump Tim Scott. Yeah, I would 3. I would agree with that.
I'm not going to lie. I love all three of them. I think they all have their pros.
Do you think, all right, if you had to rank them, which one would you say is the best ticket for the GOP?
Tim Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, I was very high on Pudding Fingers, but I'm down on Pudding Fingers lately.
Pudding Fingers.
Yeah, I would probably right now I would probably put him in at number 3 of those three.
Wow.
Yeah, I would.
Because there's too much similarities between him and Trump.
Yes, and if
Trump needs somebody that's not like him.
And if it doesn't work, does it damage DeSantis moving forward in 28? So I'm going to agree with Dawn. I'm going to go Tim Scott slightly ahead of Nikki Haley, but as I said, Nikki Haley is her stock. The arrow is pointing up for me.
Do you think that the African American vote, and I'm not saying that all African Americans are going to vote for, but do you think an African American vote is more important to the GOP than the woman vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's lost the women.
Yeah.
He's lost the women.
Yeah.
The women he has lost will not be regained.
That's a good point. Nikki's not going to reel them back in.
No. And so the women who are going to vote for Trump are 100% hardcore, are with Trump, and I don't think he's going to lose them.
Yep.
But on the other hand, the women who are lost, they in the la-la land of, MSNBC, CNN, convinced by all that, or the women who simply feel that with the E.G. Carroll situation that you mentioned, with the abortion issue, whatever, they're not coming back.
But
it's not going to happen.
But don't you think it makes Trump look? There's more of an advantage if you have this problem with women to show the world. No, I have a woman running.
Greg, I think honestly, the women I know who are hardcore Trump and love Trump are like, yo, I'm a MAGA mom wearing my T-shirt with the MAGA mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the women who just are not going to take it and don't like him, there's no coming back from that.
Totally agree, because even going into last week's primary town hall with Trump on CNN, the E. Jean Carroll stuff, how would he handle it, and then the way he did handle it. So you had him, you lost females before that, then more of them probably with the E. Jean Carroll situation.
I don't even know if that. Do you think more? I don't even know if that's true.
I mean, not liable for rape, but they did find him liable for, what was they called it, abuse or whatever it was, in addition to the defamation.
If you followed the case, and if you know anything about these civil kinds of cases, you know what that was, and that, and it's awful.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
icky. The whole thing is icky and awful, and should never have gone to court. And I think Trump realized there were mistakes with the legal process of his attorney. He should have gone in person.
Yep.
And all of that. But you know what? It is what it is. Honestly, I don't think he lost anybody new. I think with women, they either are hoorah, they're going for Trump, or they feel like Trump is good for the economy and they like his policies, or it's just not happening.
855-839-1210 if you guys want to jump in on the conversation. Speaking of lost, that is exactly what happened to Helen Gim locally last night. Now, I've got these numbers, and these were from about 8 hours ago, so I don't know if they are still accurate and up to date, but I've got total votes, and I've got percentage of the votes jotted down here. So Shirelle Parker makes history. She'll be the 100th mayor in Philadelphia in a matter of months. It's a foregone conclusion. The first female to do so. The numbers I have, Shirelle Parker, 69,202 votes, or 28.5%. Rebecca Reinhart, about 22,000 votes behind. This number was 47,605 votes, or 19.6%. Helen Gim in third at 44,716, or 18.4%. And then Alan Dom with 24,000 and 10%. Jeff Brown at 18,800 and 7.7%. So here's I have two takeaways and or questions regarding what we saw last night. And Dawn, you mentioned this in the news this morning about how it was supposed to be a nip and tuck battle, very close, a handful of the females on the Democratic side. And we went through some of the Emerson poll PHL 17 numbers yesterday, and ultimately that doesn't end up happening and being the case. So this is now 2 times since we've done this show, dating back to October, where we looked at poll numbers in the 2022 midterms. We did not get the big red wave that we anticipated. And we were also told the Philadelphia primary for mayor in May 2023 that we just lived through last night was going to be super, super close. And it doesn't appear that's the case either. So now we have 2, anecdotal pieces of data here that says the polls are just off. So here's my question. Number one, should we really, really take polls with a grain of salt and maybe not even mention them? And then also, is this a warning sign and potentially bad news for everything that we have heard with Trump and the separation in the polls against everybody, including DeSantis? And maybe we should reel back in the expectation that Trump's the runaway winner in a primary based on these two.
Oh, that's a good.
I'm wondering.
Mm-hmm. To me, the polls are like when your child is sick and you have the imitation estrogen temporal thermometer. It's not the actual forehead. It's not the actual it's the low energy imitation one. It's not the actual estrogen. So if your kid really has the high fever, then it gives you a sense of something, and you kind of know, okay, it's they have a high fever. That's what the polls are to me. They're not always accurate. They are a snapshot in a moment. But for me personally, I feel like the polls are not in touch with what's happening with I want to say real people, whatever that means to you, just in the neighborhoods. Yesterday, even driving home in the afternoon, and all of the Philadelphia neighborhoods, and I'm in and out of all different neighborhoods, right? Whether it's the Northeast whether it's West Philadelphia, whether it's like East Mount Airy, Roxborough, Chestnut Hill, all of these different areas. I just saw, especially yesterday, all these moms in orange, and Shirelle chose orange as one of her big, the T-shirts and the campaign coloring and so on. If you see her in that bright orange, and they were everywhere, and they were passionate.
Yeah.
And they're moms and grandmoms and dad, but especially moms and grandmoms. And they were just, you could see they're on fire. And they're just saying, this mayor's going to care about me and my kids. And I'm sick and tired of the crime and the asbestos, but also the lack of safety with my child as they take SEPTA to school and so on and so forth. You just know the passion was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see other candidates who had that kind of passion behind them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's also interesting when you look at the geographical breakdown. I've got this little map here with who really resonated and, scooped up a good amount of votes in certain sections of Philadelphia. Shirelle Parker did incredibly well in Southwest Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, and also throughout parts of Germantown, whereas Rebecca Reinhart was strong in Roxborough, also in Germantown and some center city spots of the city. And then Helen Gim is, based on the color coding, she is the purple in this chart. And there's like a little drop here, a little dab here. Like there's no big pocket of Helen Gim. And we were thinking like Helen Gim, according to those polls, was either at the top spot or, neck and neck. And I'm looking at the way some of the votes came in. I mean, maybe a little west of Center City was the strongest spot.
And think about that spot. So people who are maybe millennials, don't have kids, professionals, those 20s, 30s, maybe early 40s who work in Center City, that sort of thing. So not necessarily your homeowner family person. And I think what this goes to is that, remember what Shirelle said, and I know she didn't get the FOP endorsement. She will now, I suspect, and that's a big question. Will David O get it or will Shirelle? Because remember, Shirelle said day one, 300 officers. She was very passionate in speaking about she's pro-police. That's what she said, and we have to hold her to that. She was pro-police. She wants to hire hundreds of officers ASAP.
Yep.
And I think that resonated with people across the city.
All right. If you guys want to jump in, join the show, 855-839-1210 on Twitter at 1210WPHT or in the comments section on YouTube. We'll come back. The low voter turnout. We heard Dawn mention that number, 23%. The trust factor right now with politicians and the media. We'll delve into that as we wrap up the first hour of Kayal Company. And we're back after this on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It was the day we all feared. The stock market went down and then kept going.
2008, when the markets lost over 50% of their value. But that was over a decade ago. Today, it's not so painful. Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group calls that financial amnesia. When you forget the pain of losing half your savings, and more importantly, ignore the fact that it can happen again. A complimentary consultation from Retire Ready Financial Group can show you where you stand now before the next market pullback. You're much closer to retirement than you were in 2008. Don't let it happen again. Call Jim Cipriotti at 610-894-7415 for a complimentary consultation. That's 610-894-7415 or online at retirereadyfg.com. You can forget where you put your keys, your glasses, or even your car. Don't forget to protect your retirement.
Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768. King Shooter Supply, a full-service gun store, licensed FFL, buy, sell, trade, all sorts of accessories, and indoor range and training center is open in King of Prussia, with lessons and classes for all shooters, such as parent and child gun safety and range time, weekly cleaning classes, and pistol red dot. Check out all the offerings. Membership options include law enforcement, military, first responder, and seniors. Stop in to see King Shooter Supply, 346 East Church Road in King of Prussia, or find them on Facebook, kingshooters.com. Now open Sundays too, noon till 6.
Two legends, one can. Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. Yes, it's true. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar are available in a can. And they are now available at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirits store. Two legends, one can. Jack and Coke, ready to drink. Go to finewineandgoodspirits.com. Please drink responsibly.
Whiskey Specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniel's and Old Number 7 are registered trademarks of Jack Daniel's Properties, Inc. Coca-Cola is a trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
Hello, I'm a Bradford White water heater, and I'm looking for a good home, like yours. I promise to deliver all the hot water you need for your family. I'm reliable and efficient, and not bragging here, but I'm built to be the best, too. Just ask a plumbing professional. They'll tell you that Bradford White water heaters are a great choice for your home or business. Check out my website, bradfordwhite.com, and even find a pro who will install me. How you heat your water matters. So choose me. Choose Bradford White.
Miller Lite has high hopes for the Phillies this season, so catch every game at JT Brewski's Pub in Primos, PA for a $3.50 Miller Lite pint special. JT Brewski's features a wide variety of locally influenced craft beer on tap, flowing from their 29 cold draft lines. Indulge in JT Brewski's extensive pub menu, including their thin crust pizzas. So enjoy every Phil's game at JT Brewski's. JT Brewski's Pub in Primos, a proud partner of WIP's High Hopes Pod with James Seltzer and Jack Fritz. It's Miller time, Phillies fans. Celebrate responsibly.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Hoffman, owner of Mainline Pro Painting. We specialize in painting homes and businesses in the mainline suburbs and surrounding areas, delivering the highest quality of professionalism, attention to detail, and customer service. We also give back to our community. We recently partnered with Sherwin-Williams and the Travis Manion Foundation in painting the home of U.S. Marine veteran Chris Guarana, in honor of my father, U.S. Army veteran Lawrence Benjamin Noel. To bring your home to life, visit us at mainlinepropainting.com.
Hi, this is Joe Meterchick, PNC Bank Regional President. At PNC, we're committed to helping every one of our customers achieve financial wellness and success. PNC is proud to have more than 3,000 PNC-certified women's business advocates, specially trained to support the achievements of female financial decision makers, whether starting, growing, or managing your company, or planning your individual financial legacy. Visit pnc.com/women to be connected to a women's business advocate near you. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Free speech lives here. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
Sure has. Kayal Company, 651, Hump Day edition of the show. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. What's on the cut sheet coming up at 7:45. The great Tony Bruno at 8:20. This is actually the perfect week to have Bruno on, as we have Tony on a every other Wednesday basis. And there's been a lot to get into in the last 3 or 4 days, so I'm sure Tony will have thoughts on the Durham report, the mayoral primary, perhaps the Sixers. Maybe we'll have Tony go through the Eagles' schedule and give them a win or give them a loss.
No.
He used to love that exercise. Man. Oh, so much to delve into today. Dawn had mentioned in the news this morning that in Philadelphia, only about 23% of voters with voter turnout. I've got some of the specifics here from, and this is courtesy of the great Steve Keeley. 23% of registered voters cast ballots in person and by mail in yesterday's primary. Some of the specifics: 238,660 total ballots cast, amongst registered voters being 1,025,354. Of the 238,000 ballots that were cast, 56,394 were by mail, with 182,000 and change coming at the polling place. And, you know, I'm very interested to see what people will have to say, either in our YouTube comment section or on social media or at 855-839-1210. You know, we think about politicians these days, and we also talk about the trust factor with the media. And we can delve into the media stuff later in the show. But about 2/3 of Americans, according to a latest poll and survey, show that Americans believe that most media members, 2 out of every 3, are actually advocates and not unbiased journalists, which is really the crux of journalism, right? Just deliver the facts, remove personal bias, and don't advocate for one side or the other. Between that, 66% and only 23% of people voting in Philadelphia that we're able to. It just feels like to me now more than ever, the politicians and the media, a bulk of Americans are like, I don't believe a word either one of you guys say.
Well, the problem with the media is that you can go down the list of anybody from local to national, and you know what side of the aisle they're on.
Mm-hmm.
It never used to be like that. At least as far as I remember. I remember a time when people delivered the news, and I didn't know if they were liberal or Democrat or liberal or conservative.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just wonder, looking back, and I think, isn't today this day in history, Watergate, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when you think about looking back, I just think our eyes were opened over the years. I think the media has been biased for a long time.
Do you think this is a steady decline?
Yes. I think it got worse and worse. And then ultimately and I think Trump is a result of that. I don't think that he exposed fake news. I actually think he's a result of the media malpractice. And that's why people finally got to this point where they were just sick and tired of being lied to, sick and tired of it all, and somebody was saying the quiet part out loud.
But you know what's funny about this, and you always hear this, right? Oh, I don't trust politicians, or the media's biased. I'm sick of the far left. I'm sick of the far right. Most people live in the middle. Most people are moderate. But yet we never see two things happen and result from this. We never see really a ton of success from a political affiliation for moderates. And we also I can't watch Fox News, it's too right. I can't watch CNN or MSNBC, it's left wing. Give me a middle of the, and I keep hearing there's a demand for it, yet I don't see any results of that showing up.
That is a great point.
It's like people keep yelling for it, saying there's a demand and market for it.
Nobody actually wants it.
And nobody actually gets it.
It's actually a very good point.
I don't know. It's just an observation I've had for a long time.
Because I don't think people believe you're going to get it. I think people are just beyond that.
But there's no company right now that I can see that is trying to do that. And trust me, if a business owner was like, hey, you know what, there's a huge demand for this and I can make a ton of money, they would do it.
I think it's more likely that you would actually see a moderate third type of network news than actual political party, third party have success, because the reason why, number one, you don't have the face or the voice for it, right? And you also don't have the money. Money is what drives politics. So I don't think we're ever going to see a legitimate third party. I think it's always going to be Democrats versus Republicans. If I had to gamble on which one's more likely to happen, I think it's more likely that there will be a moderate news network. I think that could act. Now, whether it works or not is a completely different thing. But isn't that what News Nation tried to do? Even though they've hired Cuomo and that just says left wing, wasn't that their initial?
It was
their initial blueprint.
Initially,
yeah.
I think the one that could be successful, anybody who conducts actual investigations, who actually does these long-term investigations, it's extremely expensive, and that's the problem.
Yep.
The profit.
Yep. It's a good point. 855-839-1210. Hour 2 on the way. Dawn will have some news. And also, Kamala Harris, according to some, it could be a absolute possibility that she hurts Joe Biden's chances at re-election. We will get into that story. And also, napping leads to creativity.
What? Oh, what BS study is this?
He's cherry picking.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah. Where'd you find this crap study?
Proof personified right here, pal.
All right.
We'll get to that when we come back.
Vindication for Nick Kayal.
Exactly right. Kayal Company as we continue. Hour 2 next.
Hi everyone, this is Stephanie Kelly from Emmons Roofing and Siding, and I have some exciting news to share. Emmons has partnered with SunPower, the top-rated home solar company in New Jersey. SunPower has been leading the solar industry for over 37 years and is the only U.S. solar company that's lasted longer than their 25-year warranty. Kill the bill. The energy bill, that is. Imagine no more high energy bills, while all the while helping reduce your carbon footprint at no cost to you. It's a win-win. Yes, we now offer solar, but remember, if you need a new roof, siding, doors, windows, windows, or interior remodeling? Don't wait. Right now, Emmons is offering all 1210 listeners 10% off roofing, siding, and Anderson windows. And we are continuing to offer 12-month same-as cash financing. And don't forget that lifetime warranty on your roof. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 856-885-6677, emmonsroofing.com. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, kitchens, baths, and solar. Trust Emmons to be your first and last stop for all your home improvement needs. emmonsroofing.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text Rocky to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCKY to 42424. That's Rocky to 42424.
Hi, this is Norman the Floorman from Norman Carpet. I went to see a psychic. When I knocked on the door, she said, "Who is it?" So I left. No kidding, folks. If you're responsible for buying carpet for your company or organization, you need to call me now. I stock the largest selection of commercial carpet in the Delaware Valley. And yes, we can install within 48 hours. Call 800-220-RUGS. Call Norman the Floorman to save 50% off our competitor's best price. Now that's not chopped liver.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Explore the historic cell blocks of the world's first penitentiary. Eastern State Penitentiary is open for tours every day, year-round. Learn about the prison's history and worldwide influence, and consider its connections to criminal justice today. Admission includes an audio tour narrated by actor Steve Buscemi, award-winning exhibits, and a critically acclaimed series of artist installations. Explore an old prison for new ideas. Plan your visit and purchase tickets online at www.easternstate.org.
Get a home run of a deal from Dino and his team at Winter Ford. With a great selection on the 2023 Ford F-150s, Explorers, and Bronco Sports. You can now lease them for $329 a month. Plus, you can also order a 2023 model of your choice and receive $1,000 open bonus cash on any order. Call 800-428-4000 for offer details. Visit in person or online at winterford.com. Winter Ford, people you trust, service and value you'll love.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Now, your Live Nation lineup.
Don't miss these upcoming shows.
See Bryan Adams with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts at Wells Fargo Center June 7th. James Taylor at TD Pavilion at the Man July 1st. Dave Matthews Band for 2 nights at Freedom Mortgage Pavilion July 21st and 22nd. And the Outlaw Festival with Willie Nelson and many more at the TD Pavilion at the Man August 5th. For tickets and info, go to livenation.com.
Calling on Media PA to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies. Now put your hands up in the club.
7:02, Kayal Company, as we continue hour 2 here on this Wednesday morning. Nick Kayal, Greg Stocker, Dawn Stensland, Anthony and Daniel here as well. What's on the cut sheet at 7:45? Dawn Stensland with the news coming up in just a minute. You know, mainstream media, every now and then, they do something interesting. They do something correct. They get it right. So they take 2 steps forward, and then they do something incredibly stupid, and they take 3 steps back. And that's in regards to Sports Illustrated and Martha Stewart. We're going to get to that story as there's more fallout and new developments on that front. That's coming up before we get to the cut sheet. Also, Kamala Harris and whether or not she will impact Joe Biden's ability to get reelected. We're going to get to that story. Also, the fact that you can take a nap and be a more creative individual. We'll get to that story as well. But hey, there's a stalker snort there at 7:03.
I just can't. With these stories.
Hey, look, before we get to that, and before we get to Dawn's news, I just want to wrap up some of the election stuff. And we had Sam Oropeza, a Republican Philadelphia at-large city council candidate, in studio on Monday. And he's been on a lot of the shows here on the station, and he was on the phone with us twice leading up to his third appearance Monday with us in studio. And Anthony Dorenzo just gave us an update on that race. And overall, it's very competitive. I would say probably more competitive than the mayoral primary here for the Democrats. Drew Murray, the Republican, along with Frank Crescenzio, another Republican, both at 16.5% of the vote. 87.3% of votes are in, and they are separated, if my math is correct, by a total of 13 votes. Gary Grisfafi right behind at 14.7% of the vote. Jim Hasher, 14.4%. Mary Jane Kelly, 13.6%. And Sam is in last at 11.6%. But I would say this, and just to give Sam a little bit of credit here, I believe 36 years old. I think he's a few years younger than me. His first delve into politics coming from a mixed martial arts background. While he's not, it doesn't look like he's going to win unless something drastically changes. I would not say it was a terrible showing by him in his first splash into the political world. So I'm sure with his athletic background, he'll have a lot of takeaways and what he can do better moving forward if he continues to keep trying to fight that fight in the political spectrum.
Well, I think he was not part of the GOP, so he was running as that outsider.
Yep.
And running against the GOP here. And so, I mean, Drew Murray, obviously, and Frank Crescenzio, I mean, both with 9,400.
Super close.
Far ahead. So Sam comes in last, but you have to remember he did not have the GOP endorsement.
Right.
So his own party.
He faced a lot of resistance.
Was not, yeah.
A lot of pushback. A lot of pushback for sure. All right, 7:05 Wednesday morning, hour 2 of the news. And here is the great Dawn Stensland.
Yeah, and this morning, all the local stations are calling this one. It's making national news as far as the mayoral race, other races as well. But Shirelle Parker at this point, and I think it's 87-ish% in. Some places are reporting 89%. But by far, she has 29% of the votes. So it's not even close there. And Rebecca Reinert and Helen Gim closer to 19%. And then it drops like a rock from there. Jeff Brown with 7.7%. And he was, at one point, people were saying he was leading this thing. I think, again, we've talked a lot this morning about the polls. Amon Brown, he was quite embattled with some other issues going on, but only 1.2% of that vote. Yeah. So, but I think the biggest one out of all of this, when you look at the national media, Helen Gim, New York Times essentially endorsing her yesterday and pushing for her as she was that progressive. And so what does that say for a Bernie Sanders or an AOC? To me, this says a lot about Philadelphia, saying, no, we don't need your progressive politics here in Philadelphia. We need people who are going to fix the problem.
That's correct. And
right?
just I know we're so defeated in this city as Republicans. It's a one-party race. But, the only thing I can root for is just give me somebody that will be the most effective against crime. That's the silver lining in it for all of me. Just if we can get just slightly better in the lawlessness world that we live in the city, I mean, I guess at this point I got to take it and be somewhat happy, right?
Yeah. Right. I want somebody who cares.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's happy to be here, not happy to leave.
And Shirelle Parker, I will tell you this as well, and I should have reported this earlier. Why don't we have her acceptance? And I know that it's projected, and I know that she's facing off with Republican David O., longtime city councilman, etc. But it's all but, predicted, if history is any measure of this, because of our 7-1, pro-Democrat status here in Philadelphia.
Right.
But she had some kind of, we learned, an emergency medical situation. Apparently she was suffering from horrible allergies and then had some kind of a dental emergency and was being treated for that.
Oh.
And so that's why we don't have from her, we have audio from her campaign last night.
Mm-hmm.
We have a statement this morning, but we actually don't have Shirelle last night on a stage celebrating with her supporters.
Wow. So
because of this.
Emergency dental and allergy?
Apparently.
That's a hell of a combo.
She had some kind of a dental issue and it required emergency attention.
Wow.
And she's at the University of Pennsylvania. So I don't know if it's something that maybe she had a root canal, it became infected.
Yeah.
And
hopefully she saw either Dr. Bentz or Dudette Dental.
I know, right? So I think she's okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of disappointment. People saying, well, where is she?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that her campaign releasing a statement, say she's going to make a recover. She's okay. But apparently overnight receiving the care at University of Pennsylvania. So we'll follow that one, and we'll talk about all the other races as well, some important judgeships. I do want to say to you, today is a sad day, as we are within Law Enforcement Appreciation Week this week. And so family, friends, and also many members of law enforcement, not just in South Jersey, where there is a final farewell to Officer Robert Bobby Schisler, who we've talked a lot about, who was shot and killed in the line of duty. He was shot and then had been in critical condition in ICU for nearly 2 months, and he lost that battle. And we've obviously followed his story and all the fundraisers. There's another fundraiser this Friday, and we've been tweeting that out as well for his family. So the funeral is today for Officer Robert Bobby Schisler, killed in the line of duty, a fallen New Jersey policeman. And that's today. The funeral is at Rowan University's concert hall there in Mullica Hill Road, Glassboro. So initially they can pass through, and there's a reflection starting 9 o'clock this morning. And law enforcement, as we all know, from across the country will honor this officer killed in the line of shot. We don't have all of the circumstances. So we don't know if he was attacked. There was some kind of a stop and questioning a suspect.
Yeah, Joe Biden has already said he cannot attend. He'll send a family member or a cabinet member in his place.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Joe will be at a graduation instead.
So he physically lost his battle for life and had been transferred to University of Pennsylvania. But it happened a little over 2 months ago. So there are many still this week, many still fundraisers for his family as he had passed away, died at the University of Pennsylvania. He's 27 years young, survived by his mom and dad, his brother, his sister. And so the memorial starts this morning in less than 2 hours. So we want to just pay our respects there as well. And other news, we've got it all covered for you. Wall to wall, certainly we'll be talking about the fallout that is continuing. William Barr, obviously, who really set forth the Durham report and brought forth the results this week, speaking out last night as an exclusive with Bret Baier, a telling interview. But as we look through that 300-plus page report, we still continue to learn new information. The fallout continues. So we're following that very carefully for you, and you can count on us for that. We are live and local all day from early this morning through 7 o'clock this evening. So we got it all covered. We do want to say that we are sponsored by United Tire this morning. We thank United Tire for sponsoring us as we're paying tribute to our law enforcement during this week of Law Enforcement Appreciation, Officer Schisler, and as well talking about a major sports story that's making national news, and that is Doc Rivers, our Sixers coach, officially being fired. We learned that, very gracious as he talked about his time and how much he loves Philadelphia and the team. United Tire, treat your car well. It'll reward you with a long life. Schedule your visit with your locally owned United Tire today. They're going to make it quick and easy, and you will be driving on tires you know you can count on. Visit UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Don't drive alone. Drive United. I know Nick Hale's going to get to the sleep study. But real quick here, Nick, the T-Mobile Weather Center forecast much more chilly than yesterday. So we're 67-ish. It'll never feel like that, even though it's bright and sunny today because of the wind moving in. 25-mile-an-hour winds.
Get it out of the way, because on Friday when you said the weather gets warmer again, the golf match is finally happening. Myself and Mike Opelka.
Awesome.
We are locked into play.
So we're banking on the T-Mobile Weather Center.
That's right.
to really bring forth a beautiful...
We've already been getting emails about like Channel 3, 6, and 10. They're going to show up and televise the whole thing. It's going to be a big spectacle, Dawn. I can't wait.
We love it. We'll have to definitely record it. That's Kayal Company News Live.
All right, Dawn. 855-839-1210. If you would like to join the show, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, critiques, criticisms, we take them all here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. So it's interesting. We just talked a little bit about Nikki Haley and whether or not she is rising up the ranks and whether it will be more the better ticket being a Trump DeSantis ticket, a Trump Tim Scott ticket, or a Trump Nikki Haley ticket. And both Dawn and I are in agreement that Nikki can't really help Trump when it comes to the female aspect of getting voters in the Trump camp. But Kamala apparently can't hurt Joe and his chances at re-election. I don't know what it is about Politico and their infatuation with writing about Kamala Harris, but they posted a story yesterday on whether or not Kamala Harris will harm Joe Biden's re-election chances. And as soon as I saw that, and I don't think I'm straddling the fence when I say this, I feel like the answer is yes and no. In theory, it should, right? Because she's been an abject disaster, a total failure, totally incompetent when it came to being the border czar that she was dubbed. So they've now pushed her off to fight the good fight against artificial intelligence, which is a real staggering concept if you try to wrap your mind around that. So I would say yes, but at the end of the day, I'm going to say no, because the more I think about this, and, we've been talking about, different re-election tactics and techniques and what you got to do and how you got to get better and why the Democrats excel in one category where Republicans lack at and fail in other areas. I'm convinced now, especially yesterday, after hearing, and you'll hear this individual coming up on the cut sheet a little bit later this morning, after hearing John Fetterman in a suit, in his profession yesterday, stuttering and stammering and not being able to get a single coherent sentence out of his mouth, I'm now convinced more than ever, Joe Biden could legitimately be on life support,
stop,
brain dead, and people will still vote for him. I think we are seriously at a point now between Fetterman, Biden, Feinstein that, you look at some of these Democrats, they just do not care if that person can function and operate and fulfill the duties of the position. They'll still vote for you.
Yes.
So, I look at Kamala Harris and I would say, man, you know what? I'd love to sit here and say she is so awful that maybe it would have a small impact on Joe Biden. I'm not sure that it has any impact whatsoever.
You go back to the 90s and Christopher Reeve, after he had that horrible accident where he fell off the horse.
Paralyzed.
And he was paralyzed. And basically all he could do, he could speak a little bit, but he could basically tap his finger.
Yeah.
That's basically all they need these politicians to do is to cast one vote for them. They don't care if they can speak. They don't care if they're on life support. They don't care. As long as they can cast the vote that furthers their agenda. That's all they care about.
And nobody's ever going to confuse John Fetterman with the Man of Steel. Right? Nobody's ever going to think that the lump was actually Clark Kent. But as long as you can breathe and move your index finger to hit submit for a vote or to rubber stamp your name or whatever the whole bit is, you're in.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is absolutely astonishing. 855-839-1210, the phone number. All right, we got a lot to get to before we get to the cut sheet. Martha Stewart, CNN, and naps, baby, naps.
Oh, God.
You think those big takes that are creative come from short rest? No shot. I'm plotting the big take as I'm sleeping for 75 minutes.
Okay. 75 minutes.
That's right. The hour and 15 nap is the premier nap, by the way. And that's a Nick Kayal study.
Oh, God.
We'll get back to that story. Actually, we'll delve into that story when we come back here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
You're invited to a private showing of the most important movie you'll see in retirement. The Baby Boomer Dilemma is a groundbreaking documentary from award-winning director Doug Orchard. Throughout the film, Nobel Prize winners, PhDs, and esteemed economists expose the cracks in the financial industry that have 401ks and Social Security on the brink of collapse. After the movie, Crash Proof Retirement will share the solutions discussed by these experts, including the proprietary Crash Proof Retirement System, which provides guarantees backed by the financial life insurance industry, such as principal protection, the potential for double-digit returns, and an 85% tax-free income over 10 years, which can be increased as needed. Reserve your seat now for this private screening of the Baby Boomer Dilemma at the William Penn Inn on June 6th at 5 p.m. Call 800-722-9728 or visit crashproofretirement.com.
Live life to the fullest. Yeah, you hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain. Hey, Dawn Stensland here. QC Kinetics really does give people all over our region back their quality of life by providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain. Doing it in the most non-invasive way possible using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. No surgery, no downtime, no steroids or harmful drugs, and patients are raving about the results. What does living life to the fullest look like for you? Finally being able to play golf, walk your dog, enjoy time with your family, or just do your job without pain, whatever it is. Don't wait one more day. Call QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation with locations around the Philadelphia region. 215-999-3000, 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Every once in a while, you come across a deal that you can't pass up. And if you live in an older home, you'll want to listen up. I've told you how USA Insulation completely changed how my home feels. I've told you how it's paid for itself in energy savings. And if you haven't had your home insulation upgraded yet, I'm here to tell you that now is the time. The discounts are bigger than they've ever been. This month, during National Home Improvement Month, you can get free install labor. You pay for the foam. USA Insulation will install it for free. Plus, there's an energy credit that puts up to $1,200 back in your pocket. You've got to take advantage of this before the summer heat. They can insulate almost any type of home, including brick homes. Over 100,000 homeowners can't be wrong, including me. 1-800-USA-FOAM. That's 1-800-USA-FOAM or usainsulation.net, usainsulation.net.
This is Flea for This Little Light, a podcast about falling in love with music. I started a nonprofit music school about 20 years ago called the Silver Lake Conservatory of Music. The reason that I started doing this podcast was music education. I'll be speaking with Rick Rubin, Thundercat, Stewart Copeland, Margot Price, Corey Henry, Cynthia Erivo, Sheila E., and Patti Smith.
Please listen and follow This Little Light, a presentation of Cadence 13 on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra.
Love the orchestra. I love it.
Joe's great. He encapsulates a Philly sports fan.
Oh, I love the music. I especially like the old songs from Philly.
The impressions of different voices is fantastic.
Charlie Emanuel.
Of course, Merrill Reese.
It's fantastic.
This show is a love letter to the Philadelphia sports fans.
See Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra at the Ocean City Music Pier, 8th Street and the Boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey, Saturday, July 15th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
40 days up to 40 pounds. Say it with me, 40 days up to 40 pounds. Visit njdiet.com or call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. 40 days up to 40 pounds. 40 days up to 40 pounds.
You know, at Parks Casino and Sportsbook, you get action, excitement, entertainment Experience exceptional outdoor dining and unique indoor open-air seating at the Liberty Bell Beer Garden inside Parks Casino. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, it's the #1 casino in all of Pennsylvania, the only one that I ever recommend, as you know. It is the $80,000 Money Mania sweepstakes only at Parks, PARX Casino and Sportsbook. You earn entries now through May 28th for a chance to win, listen to this, a share of $55,000 free slot play, and for a chance to take home $25,000 in cash. Yeah, the $80,000 Money Mania sweepstakes going on right now exclusively at Parks Casino and Sportsbook. So don't miss these top headliners coming soon to the Excite Center inside Parks. Dionne Warwick, June 23rd, Sweet Caroline Tour, July 21st, Wallflowers, August 5th, Dave Kaz and Friends, Summer Horns, that's August 11th, Wayne Newton, August 26th. So for tickets and a list of all the upcoming shows, just visit parkscasino.com, PARXcasino.com, Parks Casino and Sportsbook. This is how you win. Gotta be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Calling out Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Kayal Company, Talk Radio 1210, WPHT. You can stream us for free on the Odyssey app. You can watch us on YouTube. You can tweet us, get to us on Instagram, on the phones, direct mail, you name it. We're there. We make a push today for the YouTube.
Oh, by the way, if you're watching right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, hit the like button if you're watching right now, so we get in people's feeds there. Let's. We're right under 3.1 right now, 3,100 subscribers. I'd like to get to 3,001. Let's get that 3.1. Okay. In the next half hour or so. Can we do that? Yep. Hit the subscribe button at 1210WPHT. Hit the alert button too, so you'll get alerts when we go live, which we do every morning at what time, Nick? What time do we go live?
That would be
we start at 6 a.m.
That's right. Yeah. Sometimes 6:02, depending on the spot load, as they say in the industry. Spots are good.
We like to get ahead.
Yes.
So we can have more time to filibuster in the cut sheet segment.
That's right. This is how you take the cut sheet from 7:47 to 8:39 by getting ahead.
Not today, though, because we have Bruno coming up
at
8:20.
And you'll be able to watch Bruno on the show as well.
Hopefully.
Well, the first time was 2 weeks ago.
I know, but we've run into – Dawn had Ben Manis on yesterday. We tried to send him a link to the video, and it just didn't work. So.
Okay.
Just trying to work out all these bugs, you know what I mean? It's not a perfect thing. It's not a perfect science. And God knows we're not getting help from anybody upstairs.
Right. And God knows Tony can screw up a one-car funeral.
Or across the hall.
Exactly. 855-839-1210. You're taking a lot of shots lately.
No, I'm not.
I'm not. You hear that, Dawn?
I heard a little shot.
We'll just sit here and do our show and be quiet and let Greg do the
all I'm saying is the YouTube, the Twitter, the Instagram, everything that we've done for social media, it's a grassroots effort.
That's right.
It's a grassroots effort by the listeners.
Yes.
So help us out by subscribing to YouTube.
Please do. So I can take a nap, and so I can nap peacefully for 75, 90 minutes, just depending on the day. And how about this, Dawn? The New York Post, napping can actually boost creativity, and they have the science to show you how they do it and why. So it turns out that a few Z's can boost your creativity. A new study published in the journal Scientific Reports suggests that there's a link between naps and a creative mind, but timing is key. Researchers from MIT and Harvard Med, so two smart institutions, right, found that the mind is, quote, particularly fertile during sleep onset, the earliest stage of slumber where a person drifts between being asleep and awake, which I can actually really tell you that little period where you're like kind of in like the asleep awake purgatory in between road. It's a great, like when I get done with my workout at the gym, I get the shower, I get done, I go down for the nap at 11:45. I'm down for the count like a fighter in a boxing ring for a 10 count. And I get to that moment where I just know I'm about ready to conk out.
You're really a man of the people, Nick.
Man of the people. That is correct.
Your 11:45 nap.
The 11:45 nap.
Oh my God, it is construction workers and people that are driving to work right now.
That's
that are
correct.
Like, okay, all right, thank you.
Hung around for sales meetings yesterday till 11:15. I didn't get to the nap at 12:30 until 12:30 yesterday.
Oh,
and I'll tell you right now,
you?
the 12:30 nap is a completely different nap than the 11:45 nap.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yes, that is correct.
So there are 2 naps now.
Well, no. There's only one, but I couldn't get to the nap until 12:30 yesterday.
So nauseating.
I had to go into the sales meeting and do my thing yesterday. Which, by the way,
what did you do?
I just
do
went
your
in.
thing.
Yeah, I just went in and showed my face and answered a question or two and raised my hand. And the salespeople were like, what? Actually, the big sales boss, Ms. Scope, he shouts out to all of his sales staff of 35 people, "Hey, Nick, what time do you get up each morning?" And I was like, I'm in the back. I'm like, 4:20. And he goes, "Oh, you see that? He's been up for like 8 hours, longer than all you sales reps. And he's still here. How about that?" Not like Dawn Stensland, though. I mean, Dawn, you're here till 12:30, 1 o'clock each day, which is
at least.
You're a trooper.
I don't nap.
You don't? How do you not do that?
I know. For years, my husband calls me a vampire.
But yet you're still creative. So maybe this whole study, we should be debunking it right now on the air.
No, there is a sleep, and I forget which hospitals at Jefferson. They have a sleep lab that's internationally famous.
Yeah.
But they had long said that your sleep, consider it weekly like a bank account.
Okay.
And so that for me, that's how I look at it. So at some point, I've got to pay the bank.
Yeah.
Unlike the government.
So you catch up on a certain day?
So I do catch up. Usually it's a Thursday or Thursday afternoon, or maybe a Friday or Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
At some point, I just pass out like your Labrador Retriever dog in the corner. I just pass out.
You're like Buddy after a walk in 90-degree heat.
Yeah.
And then you go down.
It's probably the best thing for your health, Nick, is to nap, because God knows your genes aren't helping you. So.
Right. Right. The liquor, the DNA of my parents. The nap's going to actually get me to 65 probably.
Yeah.
Before I have a massive stroke.
If the nap keeps you alive longer,
yes,
then I'm all for you napping.
Right. We all know I'm not going to get to 81 like Joe or Martha.
Yeah.
But maybe I get to 65 due to the 75-minute nap.
It's fun we can joke about this.
Yes. Also, they go on to say in this study, quote, "We found a strong effect of sleep onset on creativity." Study author and MIT student Kathleen Esfahani said, quote, "When you are prompted to dream about a topic during sleep onset, you can have dream experiences that you can later use for these creative tasks." So if you are prompted to dream about a topic like crime in Philadelphia, you can then have a creative experience and use your dream for a creative task post-nap later on. So, I go to bed at 11:45. I turn the blinds shut, make it nice and dark in my apartment.
11:45 a.m. to those people who have to be out outside on roofs all day today.
And I start thinking about Helen Gim or Larry Krasner or Joe Biden, and then the big take formulates and it percolates like coffee in a pot. And I get up, and then we start working on the big take around 3 p.m.
Dude, what you do the rest of your day, as long as you perform from 6 to 10, I could care less what you do the rest of the day.
And that's what the audience should be saying. Thank you, Nick. I don't care about your nap. You give us 6 to 10. That's all we ask.
Blowing hookers and whatever else you do is fine with me as long as you perform.
So is it blow and hookers or blowing hookers?
No. Okay. Blow and hookers. Blow.
You got to be careful how you say it these days.
Yeah, you do.
You never know whose identity you're going to offend.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, 855-839-1210. We'll come back. Martha Stewart, Sports Illustrated. Just when you thought you could give a left-wing sports publication credit, they immediately do something completely foolish. And also, we will find out if Greg Stocker's tongue has returned to his head after staring at Martha yesterday for hours upon hours.
Stop.
If Stocker was taking a nap, he would be napping and dreaming of Martha.
But he said she looks good for 81. That's all I said. Stop with this.
Yes, all right. We'll get into the latest fallout. Martha Stewart. That's next here, Kayal Company.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. If your child needs support, special tutoring, and custom instruction, METC is here to help. Now's the time to call to Kathy Gannon, METC. Call the Motivational Educational Tutoring Company for over 30 years. METC's tutoring studio, founded by educator Kathy Gannon, has helped people of all ages to grow personally and academically. Call Kathy at 215-493-4200. METC offers motivational SAT prep as well as academic skills and leadership training. 215-493-4200. Now's the time to get assistance. For your child to help them succeed, all you have to do is visit online at METC.com. METC's tutoring studio. Call them today, 215-493-4200, or email Kathy directly, info@METC.com. Remember, 1210 listeners receive a free 1-hour consultation. Take advantage of this opportunity to help your child get one-on-one help. 215-493-4200, 215-493-4200.
You're invited to a private showing of the most important movie you'll see in retirement. The Baby Boomer Dilemma is a groundbreaking documentary from award-winning director Doug Orchard. Throughout the film, Nobel Prize winners, PhDs, and esteemed economists expose the cracks in the financial industry that have 401ks and Social Security on the brink of collapse. After the movie, Crash Proof Retirement will share the solutions discussed by these experts, including the proprietary Crash Proof Retirement System, which provides guarantees backed by the financial life insurance industry, such as principal protection, the potential for double-digit returns, and an 85% tax-free income over 10 years, which can be increased as needed. Reserve your seat now for this private screening of the Baby Boomer Dilemma at the William Penn Inn on June 6th at 5 p.m. Call 800-722-9728 or visit crashproofretirement.com.
Hi, it's Rich. Zioli, do you have water on your property, soggy yard, sinking hardscape, pool liner floating? Garden State Earthworks is your drainage solution. 856-848-4444 or gardenstateearthworks.com.
Hi, Philly. It's Emmett Smith again. If there's one thing I know about you folks, you're fierce competitors, tough as nails, even when it comes to pushing through aches and joint pain. But you don't have to waste that Philly grit dealing with pain anymore, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Like Emmett said, hand over the pain once and for all to QC Kinetics to get relief in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back without surgery or harmful medications. They use your body's own healing properties right at the source of the non-stop pain, making you feel like yourself again.
Come on now, you don't want a Dallas fella whipping up on you just because of that joint pain holding you back. Nah, this is a personal challenge for me, Emmett Smith. Take care of your business. Get relief from that pain once and for all.
Challenge accepted. Go ahead. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics. 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Dom Giordano at noon. Kayal Company now on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Kayal Company as the John Petrungolo playlist continues. Woo-hoo! Here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. John was the highest bidder and donor for the Travis Manion Foundation Radiothon for the rights to control the playlist all week long on Kayal Company. Do we recall, by the way, what his donation was? Did we?
I don't remember.
Was that public knowledge?
I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. I just remember.
Yeah.
It was a very large donation in the thousands.
Because whatever it was,
a one-time couple $1,000 donation.
That's very nice,
very generous.
And we did well over 92,000, I believe, on that day.
Yeah, Peter,
top to bottom.
I believe next week we'll have Peter from Highlight Electric. He will be. That will be his playlist next week because he also made a very generous donation.
So if we're getting $1,000 or a couple $1,000s for the playlist, the cut sheet has got to be worth $10,000, right? Like that's the way this works.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that yesterday to give up the rights to the cut sheet for
2024,
a day.
Yeah,
a day or a week. Wow, a week.
A week would be too much, I think, because there's a lot of effort that goes in. Not that there's not effort into the playlist. But the cut sheet's a production all to itself.
Yeah, and it's in the heart of Morning Drive.
Yeah.
Over overseas 2 important
hours,
sweeps quarter hours.
We love you and we love money for a good cause, but we don't love you that much, right?
Yeah.
855-839-1210. Everybody loved Martha Stewart yesterday, right? Yes, they did. 81 years old. Cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Google image it if you have not seen it. It's actually very, very, I'll say fascinating. I mean, yeah, maybe there might have been a little airbrush touch-up work, but at 81...
She's had some work done.
Phenomenal.
She's had some work done,
really
too,
good. Stalker was, at 6:03 yesterday. That was the first thing you said when you cracked the microphone.
Yeah.
You were, I was
looking at the
morning
pictures.
to Dawn, and you're like, I'm just sitting here looking at pictures of Martha.
Yeah.
So, apparently, I didn't know Deadspin was still actually a website. I legitimately thought they might have closed up shop 3 to 4 years ago. But Deadspin is apparently still cranking out left-wing, silly propaganda, which is interesting because when Deadspin first launched, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever it was a very popular website, and it was a site that when I was in my early days of doing sports media, they would put up some interesting stuff when it came to sports and culture and entertainment where that kind of intersection meets, and I would frequent that website. I haven't even gone to that website in 5 years, but they have a story up about Martha Stewart being Sports Illustrated's latest swimsuit model, and their take is Martha Stewart is a racist criminal. So Martha Stewart, according to Deadspin, despite her, quote, America's sweetheart image, is a convicted felon who freely used the N-word in front of cameras.
Oh, for God's sake.
Sports Illustrated sucks, says Deadspin.com.
Oh, man.
There's only one real reason to be mad about Martha Stewart's gracing the cover of Sports Illustrated's swimsuit edition, and it's not that they opted to showcase an 81-year-old woman. It's that they went with a racist felon.
Oh, God.
Deadspin goes on to say, I don't find her personality redeeming at all, or her crime all that innocent.
She paid her debt to society.
This is the perfect illustration of what the left does.
Yeah.
Like they don't forgive. Well, they damn sure don't forget, and in most cases they don't forgive. And they go on to say, it was sweet of her that she cozied up to Snoop Dogg for a comeback after a 5-month stint in federal prison on an obstruction charge, and was so charming and endearing that she was recorded dropping the N-word but didn't get canceled for it. The overwhelmingly positive reception from people who aren't adolescent bros to SI's publicity stunt is egregious, and further proof of how much white people can get away with if they have the right branding. So Deadspin is still angry, or maybe this is a new level of outrage, that Martha Stewart was not canceled, even though, as you said, she served her prison sentence. She did the time for whatever crime she committed that she was deemed to be found guilty of.
Lying to the FBI.
Lying to the FBI. Okay.
For God's sake.
All that. And, I guess, what the left will tell you is, you know what? No, it's more white privilege. You got a second chance, and everybody has forgotten about you, Martha, because you're white. And now that Sports Illustrated has brought you back into the limelight for, in this day and age with a news cycle being no more than 24 hours, they're losing their mind over it. And this is another reason why left-wing media fails. You think about it. Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, subscriptions lower than ever. New York Times down. CNN now in 4th place behind Newsmax, who was once 4th place.
Oh, for a night, at least they were.
At least for a night, yeah. Last Friday, CNN's short-lived spike in ratings after the Trump town hall, which happened 1 week ago tonight. You think maybe that's the turning point? Maybe CNN? No. Friday night, not only did they lose to Fox, MSNBC, they lost to Newsmax. And no disrespect to Newsmax. I'm not anti-Newsmax. I don't watch it, but you look at the ratings typically over the last year or two, and they are consistently in 4th place. But then this gets me to the next story with Sports Illustrated. Because I think a lot of people were like, okay, all right, Martha Stewart, 81, cover of Sports Illustrated, not bad. Then comes Kim Petras. You're probably like, who the hell's Kim Petras? I'm going to tell you right now. So Sports Illustrated has multiple swimsuit cover model issues. Martha Stewart was one of them. Kim Petras is another one who will be gracing the cover, and Kim Petras is a dude.
Oh, boy.
Or was a dude.
Okay.
As Outkick.com points out, Kim Petras is one of 4 SI cover models, and Kim Petras is a biological male. Petras had gender confirmation surgery at the age of 16. That according to the Daily Telegraph. And according to them, Petras is believed to be the youngest person in the world to have had such surgery.
Wow.
So you think, okay, Sports Illustrated, let's put a biological female up there at 81 years old. You have some money, you have some good health, you're able to take care of yourself. Yeah, maybe a little touch-up work, maybe a little airbrushing. And then let's follow it up with a guy who is now a girl claiming to be a female in a 2-piece bathing suit, no less. Greg, do you care to Google image those pictures this morning,
No,
sir?
I don't.
No?
I guess Deadspin had no problem with that.
No, I think Deadspin's going to say that, Sports Illustrated should be the Time Person of the Year.
Taking it away from an actual female.
Right. Which, as Riley Gaines continues to fight her battle for biological females against the intrusion, I think, of biological females' rights to, compete against females, change in locker rooms with only females, not guys pretending to be females. But Sports Illustrated says, you know what? It's one thing to have Dylan Mulvaney in a beer commercial. Why don't we just have a dude that is trying to be a girl rock a bikini on the cover of our magazine? That'll sell publication.
Wow.
That'll sell some copies, right?
Yep.
Nice work out of Sports Illustrated. Once again, they're probably focused on their social credit score and not their dwindling subscription base. Which, by the way, as a kid, if you grew up in the 90s and you're a 90s kid, Sports Illustrated was the magazine. Every 12-year-old in the 1990s waited for that day when the mail came and Sports Illustrated was dropped off on a weekly basis, especially the once-a-year publication of the swimsuit model. Because before you got to the point where mom and dad were trying to raid your drawers to see what magazines you shouldn't have, they still allowed you to have the swimsuit model magazine.
But I think it's not just 90s. Doesn't SI go back to the 60s or 70s that they've done this?
Yeah.
Issue?
Well, Nick's world, nothing occurred before 1990.
Well, no, but I was only a kid in the 90s.
I understand.
Yeah. I'm sure kids in the 80s and 70s looked forward to Sports Illustrated.
I'm trying to look back as to history. When did that swimsuit issue become so famous?
I know.
I want to say the 70s.
And honestly, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's like, we've seen people in swimsuits on the cover of a magazine. So I don't know what exactly about Sports Illustrated made them kind of take off and be, notorious for the SI swimsuit model issue. I have no idea. I'm going to guess it was probably mid-70s, late 70s?
Mid-60s, it looks like.
Mid-60s. Wow.
So the first one, I'm trying to see who was the first one. In the 1950s, a few women appeared on the cover of SI, but the 1964 issue is considered to be the official beginning of the current, format that's known as the swimsuit issue.
Yeah. Wow. Do we know who the first female was on that in the 60s?
Some best-selling issue was the 25th anniversary of Kathy Ireland in 1989.
Yeah.
So that'd be in Nick Cale's wheelhouse, I think.
Kathy Ireland, very gorgeous.
Cheryl Teagues, Christy Brinkley, Paulina Portskova, Elle McPherson, Rachel Hunter, Rebecca Ramian, Petra Nemkova, Valeria Maza, Heidi Klum, Tyra Banks. Heidi, who still looks awesome. Irina Shayk, Cindy Crawford, Stephanie Seymour, Nikki Taylor, Angie Everhart. Remember her? Naomi Campbell.
Okay.
So, anyway, going back.
Yeah. Nice work, Dawn. 855-839-1210. All right, 746. Let's get to what's on the cut sheet.
What's on the cut sheet?
Well, what's on the cut sheet on this Wednesday is brought to you by our good friends at Cherry Hill Volvo. We're now Costco member save. Are you a Costco member? Because you can get $2,500 off on the XC40 or $1,000 off on other models. These can be combined with other offers. See store for details. Cherry Hill Volvo. Check them out on Route 70 in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter. You played earlier, Nick, in the big take, the media and the Russian collusion, and also the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yes, sir.
So let's go back a couple of years to another collusion montage. This is with Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Peter Strzok, and John Brennan, all talking about that they have personally seen evidence of Russian collusion with Donald Trump.
Yep.
But you admit it's all you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So, again, I think...
So you have seen direct evidence of collusion?
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigation. So,
this week we saw cold, hard evidence of the Trump campaign, indeed the Trump family, eagerly intending to collude possibly with Russia, a hostile foreign power, to influence American elections.
25 years from now, how does history see you?
I think it sees all of us as patriots who were working as hard as we could to defend America against a Russian threat, against a Russian attack on our elections that helped elect the 45th president of the United States.
Did you see evidence of collusion, coordination, conspiracy between Donald Trump and Russian state actors?
I saw information and intelligence that was worthy of investigation by the Bureau to determine whether or not such cooperation or conclusion was taking place.
Of all of the clips that we just heard there, the one that really piques my interest the most is and I don't even know who said it, but somebody on the left, somebody that's a Democrat, saying that they were being a patriot to protect America.
Yeah, that was
that takes a lot of testicular fortitude to label yourself a patriot in this setting.
That was Peter Strzok who said
Okay, Peter Strzok. Yeah. Strike one.
Loser.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all of these people, not only did they say there was that they personally saw it.
Yeah.
So
well, what's more than circumstantial but less than direct evidence? Well, what do we how do we quantify or qualify that? Because it's interesting. Well, we've got more than well, what direct evidence do you? Oh, I can't really. Oh, okay. Nice work, you weasels.
The way this is being reported is true media malpractice.
Oh, 1,000%.
It's a sin. And the fact that they're holding, the Durham report is holding this, and Durham, holding this to the standard to say, I can't prove the criminality, but I'm putting this out here and putting the facts out. And they spent years in a meticulous investigation to look back and go back. And we all remember in real time all of this happening. Russia. Oh, look at this. There were the yellow, whatever it was called, the Russian, and I'm being careful because it's morning, car line with the kids. But this was a situation where Russian women who are paid for certain services were allegedly, doing certain things to create a yellow shower.
The P-tapes. The P-tapes.
Right, the P. Yeah. So-called. Well, so anyway, it just was and I remember saying to Larry, we were in our kitchen, he's like, oh, your guy, Dawn. And I go, didn't happen. Because we knew friends in the hotel industry, in AC and beyond, who worked for Trump for decades. And so I didn't know him personally at that time. I hadn't met him at that time. I said, nope, didn't happen. The guy's a germaphobe. This is a lie. It's a total lie.
I also said, too, that if you, if that is your fetish, if that's your thing, you don't just try it once. You know what I mean? Like, there's not just like, hey, you know what? I'm bored on a Saturday night. Yeah. Why don't you ladies stand up on the bed and, you know what I mean? Like, you don't just try that once. It's something that you do often.
Yeah, instead of taking my nap today for 75 minutes, I'm gonna experiment with this.
Exactly.
But it just didn't ring true to anybody who knew him or knew. It just didn't ring true. Yeah. And now we find out. Yeah. Think about this. It was all manufactured. Totally. That whole Russia thing. What was it? Nearly how many millions of dollars wasted tax money? I want my money back.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in this economy with interest. But the fact that they just dragged us all through this. And so you were deplorable because why? You're voting for that guy, that MAGA. Look, he's nasty. Yeah. He's dirty. You know who was dirty? It was the dirt at the top. These scumbags, these partisan scumbags who dragged. It wasn't just about Trump, and that's just it. Everybody who voted for him or anybody who supported him. Yep. You lowlife. And that's what it makes me so angry. It makes my blood boil. And then look at who they went after during all of this. And Kathleen called during my show yesterday, and she said, let's not forget, Manafort, who, by the way, that was a tax situation, and so on and so forth. But they took this guy, jailed him, and persecuted him and basically tortured him, put him in solitary confinement.
And they're never going to stop.
My gosh.
They'll never stop. It's not like they're going to learn their lesson or pivot away from that, the shaming of you for having a different thought. They just move on to the next opportunity to keep doing the same thing, which they have shown for 7 years.
By the way, we're streaming live on YouTube. Kathleen writes on the YouTube chat section that Peter Strzok was just on CNN yesterday. So apparently they haven't...
just trotting out the same donkeys, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
And here's a guy who was busted with his tweets. And remember, Bonnie Coleman, lectured him, which was so delicious when she called him Mr. Strozak. But he was having an adulterous affair with another agent. And it's horrifying, really, what was going on. And conspiring and the manipulation and the audacity of these individuals with the complicit media, liberal media, to still go on, to Greg's point, to still go on yesterday and think that they should be ashamed. They should be hiding. But no, because why? The media is not going to ask those tough questions and say, well, what else did you know? What were you doing? And you knew the Steele dossier. You knew all of this was made up, big lies. It's horrible that we would accept this and accept that these people, they should be criminally charged.
I agree.
Streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please hit the subscribe button. Yesterday, former Silicon Valley Bank CEO Greg Becker and two former executives from Signature Bank were grilled by a Senate committee and skewered for the failures of the financial institutions that they led. Let's start with John Fetterman.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. This is painful to sit through.
It is.
It really is.
It really is painful. If you can follow this train of thought and you can follow what he's trying to get out here, more power to you. But I don't know if he should be on committees like this.
And by the time he wraps up saying what he's saying, you'll be able to get in the giant grocery shop, get out, and still hear the tail end of it.
John Fetterman from yesterday grilling the CEO from Silicon Valley Bank.
Is it staggering? Is it a staggering responsibility that the head of a bank could literally crash our economy? It's astonishing. That's like if you have, and they also realize is that now they have a guaranteed way to be saved by no matter how, So it's isn't it appropriate that this kind of control should be more stricter?
More stricter?
Wow.
Does anybody have any clue what he said?
No.
Okay.
And then he sounds like he's like buffering live on the air, right? Like he kind of repeats himself over and over again and kind of gets caught up. And again, it's not to sit here. It's my bigger issue. My two big issues are, number one, the fact that Oz lost to this guy. Like if I'm Dr. Oz, it's very difficult for me to get up each morning and go out for my morning jog or my cup of coffee and show my face in public. Because I lost to basically a vegetable.
Oh, okay.
And
he has health issues, Nick. Come on.
I give the guy, a lot of credit in Fetterman for wanting to continue to fight through his own issues. I give the Democrats no credit because it is all about just dragging, and I'm going to call him the victim here, right? Like they're dragging a victim to the finish line and then trotting him out for, like if they had any sense of, self-respect and human compassion, they would say, hey, I know that you probably want to keep pushing through this term that you won and you were elected and you went through your therapy session and you emerged, hopefully a better person, but we can't put you through this. Like, we're looking out for your best interest. And the Democrats don't do that. And to be honest, if Fetterman was a Republican, I would legitimately say the same thing, like, we shouldn't make this guy do this?
A little bit more from Mr. Fetterman.
To prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is? I'll give you an example. The Republicans want to give a work requirement for SNAP. For a hungry family has to have this kind of penalties or some kinds of working required. Shouldn't you have a working requirement after we sail your bank with billions of your bank? Because they seem to be more preoccupied than SNAP and requirements for works for hungry people, but not about protecting the taxpayers, that will bail no matter whatever does about a bank to crash it.
Pause.
Wow.
Sure.
That was it.
A lot of times these are very adversarial in nature, these proceedings, and you hear people kind of interrupting each other, but it's almost, even though you're getting grilled by Fetterman, so to speak, it's almost like you can't interrupt him and try to, defend yourself until he finally wraps up saying what he's trying to say, or else you'll be viewed as the bad guy. Yeah. Right?
Here's my takeaway on this. It takes somebody who's recovering from a stroke and who sounds like, if you remember the movie Dell with Jodie Foster, and she spoke that language of her own.
Nell,
excuse me. What am I saying? Dell computer. Nell. Remember Chickabai? And she had that interesting way of speaking, and it kind of reminds me of Nell.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
guys.
And I'm not trying to be silly here. I'm being serious.
Boys in the back, take that clip and take clips from Nell and mix and match them and see if we can do that.
And put Nell, Chickabai,
like
that's
that. Not right.
Dude,
and so it reminds me of Nell.
But
here's the thing.
On the show.
At least this one person who's recovering from all these different issues and a stroke and all of that, and has been hospitalized, is at least outraged, which we should be outraged. Apparently, he doesn't realize it's his side of the aisle, his administration, that has created this disaster with this economy. This kind of thing would never have happened under the previous administration. Let's just be real here, when we had unprecedented peace and prosperity. So this is Biden's fault that this happened, not to mention the fact that a lot of these failing banks had all this ridiculous DEI, ESG, blah, blah, blah stuff.
Kennedy.
But at least Fetterman is expressing the outrage, and he's right. They should be investigated. And why don't we even go back to 2008 and investigate those bankers when we bailed them out too? And now those same banks are charging us 31%.
We know he can't speak well, obviously. You heard it right there in two different clips. But do you think he can even process the concept or the information that he's trying to make the case for or the argument against? Like, do you think he understands what happened?
Yes,
with these
I
banks?
do actually.
Okay.
I think because that's similar to what we hear with people suffering a stroke.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. At least he can be he's being honest with his outrage. We should be outraged. He's right. So I think part of the thing they're probably going to say to him is, hey, can you not say that? But because he's going through his medical situation, he's that person that they're apparently not able to kind of rope in and say, hey, don't say that because, that's our fault. The Dems, that's us.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't remember, here's Nell from 1995.
Oh, listen there, Mousy. If I don't got ants to come, die in the way.
In a wheel.
Say it on come. Yeah, Kneeling night, listen, kneeling night, go. In the way.
It's not right, Dawn. It's not right.
I wasn't trying to be mean. I'm just saying it. I think
prevent this kind of thing from going? Or should we just go on and start bailing and sailing whoever bank, regardless of how their conduct is?
It's a sin.
It's a sin.
It is.
But think about it. I think he does know inside. It's just you can't get the words out. It's the pathway, right, with your brain recovering and all that stuff. But I think actually my take on this is they're like, hey, we gotta. I know that he's recovering, but we can't have him saying that outrage part because that's our fault.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they can't. What are they going to do? Try to correct the poor guy when he's. So they're in a tough. The Democrats are in a tough spot.
And could you imagine trying to fact check him and argue with him live?
No.
I mean, you would totally derail him.
Anne Marie on YouTube, by the way, streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT says, I worked as a medic and this is just wrong. I hate seeing it. Families are to blame for this situation. Newman Price says, I really want to make fun of him, but dude, it's legit. He's legit not well. It's a crime that they forced him into this position. His wife, too, has no shame.
No doubt about it. And I'm glad he mentioned Giselle there, because when you say family, she's the one that, you know. And remember, we were talking about this back in the winter when he checked himself into Walter Reed. She's on social media taking, you know, some sort of mental sabbatical break with the kids at a ski resort and lodge, to which I said, like, I have no problem with you doing that. You need to take a vacation or unwind, you know, get away from the whole thing. I'm not expecting you to be at Walter Reed with your husband every single second of every day that he's having a 6 or 8 week
young
stay.
kids,
right?
Who are in school,
But just, you know, it's a bad look when you post it. Like, once again, this goes back to, you don't need to document and chronicle your entire existence on social media. Some things you can just keep to yourself.
But ultimately, I know everybody wants to blame the wife, and it maybe if she were in a different position, I just don't know the inside story. I would love to know how much the Democrats, because this is this party, and they have no shame. They are a disgrace the way they put this man in this position and put his wife in that position too. So it's easy, I think, that's low-hanging fruit to criticize her. I get that. But at the end of the day, the Democrats, the leadership, they could easily say, you know what, we really want Governor Josh Shapiro to name a replacement, but there's a timing issue, and now I have to look back at it. I know we've talked about it before. There's a timing issue here.
Yep.
And so I think that they ultimately could still say that they want him to resign, but they want to make sure it's within a certain window, and then Josh Shapiro would be able to put somebody up there, and it would not go to a special election. So there's some political timing involved in this.
And what did we talk about this morning in the Big Take, where, you know, I asked, what have we learned and how do you overcome, you know, the failures of 16, the failures of 20 with the stacked deck? And, you know, I said something to the effect of, you got to do and take advantage of everything that the Democrats do. And even if it means something like this, you're going to have to ask yourself the question, you know, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to go to the levels that the Democrats do? Maybe you are, and maybe that'll result in victory. Maybe you won't, and maybe it'll cost you.
Yeah, we now know that Democrats will go to any depth, any length, and look no further than the Durham report.
Yep.
To me, as I look at this thing and go through it, to me, it's on the level of a Watergate in this day in history, right, when all this began. And that was a third-rate burglary ultimately. But in that one, in this current situation, we had a presidential election in which many people, not just the media, people who were at the highest levels of DOJ and the FBI are being accused of not doing their jobs and being complicit with trying to alter the outcome of a presidential election.
Yeah.
And so where is the outrage? Where are the hearings?
Senator Kennedy grilled the SVB CEO yesterday. 3 clips from him.
This is always entertaining.
I love this guy.
Well,
bone deep down to the marrow, stupid is the quote that I love.
He's my favorite Cajun
from Kennedy. Going with cut 3 here, boys.
Senator, there were a series of events, unprecedented events that occurred that led us to where we are today.
No, this wasn't unprecedented. This was bone deep, down to the marrow, stupid. You put all your eggs in one basket. You put all your eggs in one basket. And unless you were living on the International Space Station, you could see that interest rates were rising and you weren't hedged.
Bone deep, down to the marrow, stupid.
Love it.
He also grilled the Signature Bank chairman.
Yeah.
This is the group that did those pronoun seminars. They were worried about the pronouns that they call their employees, and they watch videos and did whole things on them. So we get into that in this clip. This is cut 4.
Good.
Jay, you're in that video, aren't you?
Yes, I'm in that video.
And you showed that video to the public?
Meaning the pronoun video.
That video was designed as a morale boosting.
But did you show it to the public?
It was shown at the employee parties and shown for.
But did the public see it?
They may have seen that, yes.
And you were trying to invite people to take their hard-earned money and entrust it to you to spend it wisely, and you showed them this video?
That video had a positive impact on
I can
employees
see your
and
bank went
colleagues who enjoyed watching
Your bank went
and
broke.
participating.
How much time did you spend? You conducted pronoun seminars.
Pronouns.
What's a pronoun seminar?
I introduced a seminar organized by 300 of my colleagues, just as I went to
but
ping
tell
pong
me what it is.
tournaments.
You spent a lot of time doing pronoun seminars, lecturing people about how they ought to use the right pronoun, gender-neutral pronouns, didn't you?
I actually spent no time beyond introducing that.
Well, I could show the seminars, but I won't do it.
Gender neutrality leads to fiscal negativity, is what I gather and what I reckon. You see, I mean, these are so you wasted all this money, all this financial responsibility over an obsession with gender neutral pronouns. 300 coworkers,
and that's what they were focused on. That's what they were doing, and that is incompetency. And again, why aren't these people being criminally charged? They held in their hands and were entrusted in a bank with people's hard-earned money. Yep. And now our tax dollars, our hard-earned money, goes toward bailing out a lot of these people. Why not criminal charges? I don't care what they were doing. I don't care if they were out like sledding or snowboarding, whatever they were doing. It was a waste of time and a waste of money. It's criminal.
I wish just for one day I could be the CEO of a major corporation and just be able to be exactly the way I am on this radio show in a boardroom meeting with employees and other suits and executives. I would get up there in my $2,000 Brooks Brothers suit, and I would say this, and I'd say it very clear. Listen up and listen good. I don't give a damn about your pronouns, all right?
Nick, they're going to run to HR and go, oh, my God, he disrespected me, and it was
If I'm the owner.
It doesn't matter.
If I don't have to answer to anybody but me.
We cannot even imagine what corporations are going. You cannot even imagine.
It's terrible.
What's going on. I have colleagues at major banking and big companies, corporations, and they're saying, you wouldn't believe it. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't believe what people are going through. And so those who want to be productive and do their jobs have to navigate through this mess, this muck.
Yeah, just keep your head down and be quiet, right?
And they have to be quiet because if you said what you just said as an owner, God forbid, or any manager, the crud that you would have thrown at you, and it's exhausting. And then they file a suit, and they go to HR, and they file all this, and it's like, and then the Biden administration has it weaved into everything. So in other words, now it's discrimination. Now you're going to face some federal fine for crying out loud.
Yeah. Every now and then, my sister, when she's getting stuck with these DEI training sessions, she'll screenshot something and send it to me in a text, and she'll just have like the rolling eye emoji, and because she knows it. Well, it bothers her, but it gets under my skin beyond belief. So she'll just do that to poke the bear from time to time. That's usually post snap, by the way.
Oh God. Yeah. Senator Kennedy grilling the SVB CEO. Nick, to your point, saying the taxpayers of America had to pick up the tab for your stupidity.
Mm-hmm. Becker, you made a really stupid bet that went bad, didn't you?
Didn't you? Didn't you?
Didn't you take the 49ers?
And the taxpayers of America had to pick up the tab for your stupidity, didn't they?
Senator, there were a series of events, unprecedented events that occurred that led us to where we are today.
Oh, God, he sounds like every weasel CEO, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unprecedented times in which we live, and unprecedented this and unprecedented that.
It's amazing
Yuck.
how difficult everything is these days, isn't
Yuck.
it? Yeah.
Yuck.
I'm telling
how
you.
how would I completely mismanage my company?
Yeah.
How about that?
A lot of these weasels, they're just trying to go undetected and get out of work at 5 o'clock still alive.
There's never any effing consequences for these guys. None. None.
It's because we're living in an era where the administration in charge is the party of no accountability and no personal responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. I'm the victim. You wronged me. You hurt my feelings, and I'm allowed to screw up.
Yeah, they get these huge golden parachutes that they'll be set for life.
Yeah.
And all of their buddies will be set for life. And the average everyday worker, the taxpayer, whoever that had to pick up, they're struggling to get by.
Yep.
It is just it's atrocious.
Yeah.
Elon Musk did an interview yesterday with CNBC's David Faber. Did you guys see this?
It did.
Speaking of your goal, Nick, of wanting to get up there and say whatever you want to without any consequences.
Yeah.
That's basically what Elon Musk said yesterday on his tweets. Mind you, there's a giant pause here that I left in for effect because it takes Musk time to answer this question, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is cut 12.
God, no. I don't want to at all. But what I'm trying, even came up though in the annual meeting. I mean, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of there's a scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
Yep. Damn right. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and if it costs me money, then so be it. It's kind of the mantra I've taken with this show.
I got to say, I like Elon Musk, but he's hard to listen to, man. It is really tough.
I think there's a difference between being super intelligent and being quick-witted with fast responses.
Yes.
He's and maybe that's part of the Asperger's that he deals with, or something to that effect with the disease that he has. But I tell you what, once he does get it out, 9 out of 10 times, I'm like, that's a brilliant response. I thought the response, it's painful to get to. It's a lot like Fetterman. If you think about it.
Tweets are better, though, because they're...
Well, yeah, the tweets are certainly better.
They talk about remote work. He calls it BS and morally wrong.
How long have I been saying that on this show?
Look, I'm a big believer that people are more productive when they're in person. And really, man, the whole sort of work from home thing, it's like, I think it's, look, there are some exceptions, but I kind of think that the whole notion of work from home is a bit like the fake Marie Antoinette quote, "Let them eat cake." Mm-hmm. It's like really, you're going to work from home and you're going to make everyone else who made your car come work in the factory. You're going to make the people who make your food that gets delivered that they can't work from home. The people that come fix your house, they can't work from home, but you can?
Yeah.
Does that seem morally right? That's messed up.
You see it as a moral issue?
Yes.
I mean, I see it more as
it's a productivity issue, but it's also a moral issue. People should get off the damn moral high horse with the work from home because they're asking everyone else to not work from home while they do.
And yet there's still pushback, by the way. It's still going on. This battle is still happening. I mean, leaders of organizations, and I speak to plenty of them, I want people back. I want people back. 3 days a week, they're still battling. It's not clear that it's ever going to change to People are not coming back 5 days a week.
Look, the laptop class is living in La La Land, okay? As I said, you can't, but look at the cars. Are people working from home here? Of course not. So the people were, building cars, servicing the cars, building houses, fixing houses, making the food, making all the things that people consume. It's messed up to assume that yes, they have to go to work, but you don't. How is that? It's not just a productivity thing. I think it's morally wrong.
Yeah, see, I don't know that it's morally wrong, and I do think there are some exceptions. I have said, if you're a salesperson and you're hitting your quota and you're supposed to be out on the road anyway, and being in the office is seen to be as you not doing your job anyway, I'm totally fine with that. But the amount of people that are doing work from home, that are goofing off on Facebook and then, getting up and doing laundry and going into the kitchen. And, I've even seen, and these people will remain nameless, they take their work laptop with them in the car. And they have somebody that just, will touch the mouse pad a little bit to show that they're still active.
Are you kidding?
Uh-huh. I'm not going to name those people, but I've seen these people do this.
Do they work here?
No.
Okay.
No. This is in the friends and family circle.
Oh, okay.
And, I think it's a very weasel move. And remember, and Elon's consistent with this.
Yeah.
When he purchased Twitter, he said, you know what? Number one, I don't need a majority of you anymore. We're going to shed off all these ridiculous salaries like, UL Roth that are doing no work. But also, if I keep you, you're expected to be back in the office. And we're going to put little beds and cots there for you to, grab a nap if you need to do that while you work.
I also think that it depends on the job.
Yeah, of course.
It's not just...
It's not one size fits all.
Yeah,
sure.
it's not fair. It's not morally right that the guy who is doing work on your house needs to be there, but you don't need to be in your office. But it also depends on the job.
Am I being hypocritical when I say I have a different stance on this if you're the owner and you realize you can cut down on overhead? Because, if let's just say you're running a pretty big-time business, not a small business per se, but not a major corporation, and you're paying an arm and a leg for, 5,000 square feet of office space and overhead and utilities and things like that, and then all of a sudden you realize, you know what? If I have my guys work remotely, I can cut back on my expenses and my bottom line and boost my profit. Does that make me a hypocrite on the work from home concept? Because I'm trying to think about it from the business owner perspective for a moment.
I don't think so.
All right. Just a random thought I had.
One more on Musk talking about the future of free speech on Twitter. He says this.
Let's talk about free speech a bit. You call yourself a free speech absolutist. You want Twitter, and this is
aspirationally.
Aspirationally, you want Twitter to be as truthful as possible, most accurate source of information about the world. So what does that mean for how you police lies on the platform? You mentioned community notes. Is that
I think community notes, yeah. I mean, I'd say, so my overall kind of vision for X or Twitter is to be a cybernetic collective mind for humanity. This is going to sound quite esoteric and sci-fi, but in pursuit of that objective, you want to have information move quickly, have that information be accurate, and you want to have error correction on that information. So you can think of community notes as like an error correction on information in the network. And the effect of community notes is actually bigger than it would seem. It's bigger than the number of notes. Because if somebody knows that they're going to get noted, they are less likely to say something that is false because it's embarrassing to get communty noted.
Okay.
But and that applies even to advertisers, by the way.
Right,
we've lost that's so far $40 million in advertising
because it was misleading, or because the community notes said it was.
The community notes, they got two pretty big advertisers got community noted, and yes. I think on balance the community notes were correct, and I did say to those advertisers, look. Just go on Twitter and provide some facts that contradict the community note. That's the way to deal with the community note, is to say, is that the community note is saying that the ad is misleading for the following reasons. If you've got information that rebuts that note, then just add that to the ad.
Okay.
Wow. That was a long answer.
Yeah, it was a long answer.
Try processing all of that. That was Elon Musk on Twitter as we wrap up part one of what's on the cut sheet. Now, if MSNBC was, into real journalism, they would have asked Elon Musk in regards to Twitter what they are going to do about restoring the account of the great Tony Bruno, the man with the Twitter ban, who is joining us now, audio only this morning, boys and girls.
You're a crumb creep, lush coward.
Exactly right. What up,
Wait a minute. Audio only. I'm sitting here smiling into the camera. What's going on back there?
It's our there's something wrong with you. Oh no, we see you. Yes,
no.
You're on video.
There he is.
There we go. There we go.
I've been in hair and makeup for the last hour getting ready for this appearance.
Hair and makeup.
Tony Bruno joins us by video. I love it.
Yes.
YouTube.com/@1210 WPHT.
What's going on, man?
Between listening to Elon Musk and John Fetterman, I'm completely out of my mind today. Holy moly. Those pregnant pauses. I just had to have an abortion during the break.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Wow. Tony Bruno firing his fastball at 8:22, kids.
I'm coming out of the gate. I'm like Pat McAfee going to ESPN and saying that I won't be allowed to curse, and that's okay. My show will be exactly the same as it's always been.
Well, Tony, politics in Philadelphia remain the same as it's always been now. Over 52 years since a Republican will be the mayor in Philadelphia. But the good news is, last night, Helen Gim did not win. In fact, Helen Gim will not even come in second place. In fact, I think Helen Gim and Doc Rivers will be having an exit lunch this afternoon.
Let's, do we have taps for Helen Gim? It's Helen Gim. Come on, Nick. Gim. Helen Gim,
spelled
who, by the way, will
G-Y-M.
now be working at the 24-hour fitness in South Philadelphia to get out of our faces for the rest of the time.
Yes.
Thank God she lost. Listen, Shirelle Parker obviously has experience. She's been in the United States, Pennsylvania Senate. She's been respected in the community, so that's good for her. And Philly's way behind the trend here. Having a black woman or a woman mayor, it's not unusual anymore.
Right.
So good for her, because my concern, why would David O., why would he waste another dollar trying to run? Why don't they just cancel the November election? Is there any reason to have an election in November for David O. against Shirelle Parker?
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about wastes of money.
Yeah.
Why even bother?
Yeah.
Think of all the stamps that'll be saved. Think of all the wasted money being sent in. This is probably the easiest lock since Doc Rivers was fired yesterday or 2 days ago.
Exactly right. We'll get to, let's get to that right now. So, once again, you can't get over the hump. You can't beat the Celtics. You have the league MVP, Tony. You have a two-time scoring champion. And I know Doc Rivers is going to be the scapegoat, and he, justifiably, I think he should be fired. But your thoughts on Rivers, and also why Joel Embiid seems to avoid criticism in this town?
Well, I don't think he avoids criticism. I just think that, I said this last time we were on, before this Celtics series even started, that the concern in Philly and the fans is Joel Embiid needs to win an MVP. He's the MVP. And we worry about individual accomplishments, and Embiid wins the MVP. And on the night that he wins the MVP, that's when they start this series. And so to me, it's all about individual accolades. Listen, Joel Embiid had a great season, but we really see now the real MVP is Jokic.
Yep.
And so, so what's the big deal? Jokic is now in the Western Conference Finals. They beat the Lakers in Game 1. Does that mean they're going to win? I don't know. All I know is, we put up with the process. We put up with the coaches. We put up with Brett Brown. People talk about, what's Brett Brown thinking right now? He had nothing to work with.
Yep.
And my buddy Kevin Kincaid over there at Crossing Broad had a great column about how the 76ers haven't had a legitimate win in the playoffs. Forget about Game 7 losses. Forget about not being in the Eastern Conference Finals since 2001, when Allen Iverson had a team of ragtag guys who took on the Lakers. They haven't won any legitimate big series of any kind in over a decade. I mean, they beat the Bulls, but there was all kinds of things going on in that series.
Yep.
So to me, you look at the Sixers' past history, despite all the lotteries and all the draft picks and all the machinations, they haven't won a meaningful series in almost 2 decades. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, you're spot on, Tony. I mean, they are as void of big wins as the Republican Party in Philadelphia has been for mayoral races now, which, is interesting. And I want to get your thoughts on this from a media standpoint, because I'm not sure if every single Tony Bruno fan is aware that before you obviously had the unbelievable run in sports talk radio, you're a journalist. You're a Temple journalism guy, and you were doing journalistic stuff early on in your career in the 70s and 80s. Yet now, 2/3 of Americans, they say journalists are now advocates and are not unbiased. You just in general, your thoughts on where journalism is today?
I totally agree. The amazing thing, and it hurts me because, as you mentioned, I was a political science major, journalism background. My job was a reporter at WFIL in the middle of the night, and I covered a nursing home fire in 1973. And as a young reporter at age 20, I won the Philadelphia Press Association Award for Best Spot Radio News Coverage in Philly. So I've covered elections. I remember on election night going to the Rizzo elections and all the other things. I remember Andrea Mitchell and I were covering elections in Philadelphia back in the 70s. So news is where I started. And then obviously, living in Philly and doing news and sports, a lot of the news departments started cutting back. And so I moved into the sports direction because Philly was a hot happening sports town in the 70s. With the Flyers and the Cups and the Sixers winning a champion, Sixers being good. Actually, they were bad there. They had that 73 team, the worst ever. But, the Phillies were on the rise. The Eagles brought in Dick Vermeil. So that 70 to 80 swing really got me focused more on the sports part because I saw there wasn't really a lot of sports talk radio. So I chose to move in that direction. And, that was a pretty good career decision. But when it comes to news, I still consider myself a journalist, even though right now I'm not out covering stories, because really you don't even need to be out covering stories. If you're a sports guy or a sports woman, you sit at home, you watch the post-game news conferences live.
Yep.
You know everything that's said. You know what the coaches and the players say. So it's a tough world. That's why there's all these podcasts, because journalism, to me, the citizen journalists, I believe right now are doing more work to cover stories than the so-called legacy media, which does nothing but sit back and regurgitate talking points from whichever side they favor. I mean, look at this whole Durham thing. You would think if you listen to one side, if you listen to one side, oh, yeah, Trump was exonerated. If you listen to the other side, which, by the way, includes all the people who lied about everything in these investigations, now getting a free platform to say that the Durham investigation was a nothing burger, well, who are you going to believe?
Right.
People have to make up their minds for themselves, and unfortunately, we live in a world where you have to take sides on everything, and everything is based on politics, and I'm sick of it. I actually don't even, I'm sick of, that's why I'm glad my Twitter ban is at 59 days today. We didn't get the breaking news on this. Let's get the breaking news, Tim. I almost called you Tim.
Yeah.
What's going on
Some
back
people,
there?
Some people do call me Tim in a different circle.
Well, exactly. So, no, listen, it's hard because I can still see my tweets. Well, I can't see my tweets because they're not being permitted. But 59 days later, I'm still banned. I'm hearing Elon Musk. Let's be honest. You look at Twitter, I can still see it. But tell me that there's no free speech on Twitter. More people are on there just grinding up nonsense and spitting out nonsense on one side or the other. It's basically an open cesspool. And the fact that I'm banned from there, when I look on there and see the stuff that people are printing, it's an open sewer. And people love open sewers these days, especially in Philadelphia when it gets hot and the trash men go on strike again. And like New York, and you go to big cities in the summer when the trash hasn't been picked up. Like, go to New York any morning at 3 a.m. and walk around when the poor trash people are out there cleaning up the streets. It is an absolute. It's like the slums of New Delhi. I mean, that's what it is out there.
Yeah, speaking of the sewers, the Twitter sewers are a special sort of sewer for sure. So you haven't gotten any answer for, you guys have not been able to contact anybody at Twitter and get any human interaction in response?
No. I don't think anybody is in the Twitter office anymore. Forget about the people not working from home. People aren't working from anywhere for Twitter. And look what happened. Look at Meta yesterday, right? Facebook. They just got rid of 10,000 more people because the NFT world, non-fungible tokens, if you're scoring at home, apparently that's not a big deal for Zuckerberg and his Facebook Meta people. If it wasn't for the Oculus, Facebook would have nothing right now, except people going on and telling you what they did for their birthday and where they're going this weekend and what their aunt's doing. You know, that kind of stuff.
Hey, don't throw any shade at Zuckerberg, Tony. Did you see his jiu-jitsu flip? I mean, he's a bad dude. Yeah, apparently Mark Zuckerberger's a very highly trained mixed martial arts artist. Apparently he took some people to task. I think right now he'd be the favorite over Elon Musk in a duel.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but both of these guys. Let's be honest. These guys are geeks.
Yeah.
Elon Musk doesn't look like a geek, but he's a geek.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. All these guys, and there's nothing wrong with geeks, nerds, or what are the three ones? There's geeks, nerds, and dorks, right? Have you done a whole show yet on what's the difference between a geek, a nerd, or a dork?
And a dweeb.
610.
That's a four. That's the top four. That's the Mount Rushmore.
Give us your Mount Rushmore of stooges. 610. We'll take your calls.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
You're a crumb
we
creep.
all celebrating. Has Helen Jim said anything? Has she said anything this morning? I hear she's down now saying that the 76ers and Doc Rivers should be fired again, and they should not build the new arena down there in the Chinatown area. I think
that is correct.
That's her legacy.
Short-lived, to say the least. All right, we'll come back. We got a bonus segment with Bruno. We'll get his thoughts on Martha Stewart, Miller Lite, and maybe his thoughts on the Eagles' schedule release from last week. 'Cause he used to relish days like that on the radio. I can attest to it firsthand. And we're back after this here on Kayal Company. But right now, first of all, a word from the great folks at Piazza Auto Group. Week number 3 is underway with the 2023 Land Rover Defender 90. And you should see the model that I have. The one I have comes in the eye-popping Fuji white color, black rims and trim. This thing is beautiful. A reputation for being rugged with go-anywhere utility, but it rides incredibly smooth. They say the Defender is iconic, and I understand why. Here's what you need to do. I encourage you to go test drive the Defender for yourself and see exactly what I am talking about. Now, I'm in the 2-door Defender 90, but they also have the 4-door Defender 110 or the 8-passenger Defender 130, and the 130 is perfect for all-terrain family expeditions with up to 8 people on board for superior comfort. The Defender 90 and the 110 come in 3 different engine choices: 2-liter 4-cylinder, 3-liter 6-cylinder, or the 5-liter V8. Visit Land Rover of Westchester, Willow Grove, or Wilmington, or of course you can shop online right now, PiazzaPremiumAutos.com.
Now, your Live Nation lineup.
Don't miss these upcoming shows.
See Bryan Adams with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts at Wells Fargo Center June 7th. James Taylor at TD Pavilion at the Man July 1st. Dave Matthews Band for 2 nights at Freedom Mortgage Pavilion July 21st and 22nd. And the Outlaw Festival with Willie Nelson and many more at the TD Pavilion at the Man August 5th. For tickets and info, go to livenation.com.
What's up, Philly? Jalen Hurts here for Window Nation, the best team for window replacements. With well over 1 million windows expertly installed, you can trust Window Nation for quality and professional service. Let their team score big savings for you.
Now at Window Nation, buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Plus, no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years.
This incredible offer couldn't come at a better time. Make the call and tell them Jalen sent you. Then drop back and enjoy the buy 2, get 2 savings. Call 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, Costco members have a $2,500 incentive on the purchase or lease of an electric Volvo. There is a $1,000 incentive on all gas and hybrid 2023 models. Explore this safe and versatile 2023 XC90 and take advantage of special financing, a rate of under 5%. Visit Cherry Hill Volvo for a full list of extraordinary offers for both new and previously owned Cherry Hill Volvos. Visit us now. We have the inventory and we have competitive offers.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Hi, this is Norman the Floorman from Norman Carpet. My wife thinks I'm obsessed with astrology. What planet is she living on?
If it's quality carpet at drastic savings, you need to call me now. At Norman Carpet Warehouse, I stock the largest selection of commercial carpet in the Delaware Valley. And yes, we can install within 48 hours. Call 800-220-RUGS. Call Norman the Floorman to save 50% off our competitor's best price. Now that's not chopped liver.
The following conversation brought to you by Omega. 800-300-9ERC. That's 800-300-9372. OmegaTaxCredits.com.
I thought I couldn't get the ERC if I got the PPP loan.
Nope. If you're a business owner with 5 to 500 employees, you might be eligible.
I thought it was really difficult to apply for the ERC.
Not if you use Omega. See, Omega is an accounting firm that has been around for over 15 years. They are a true accounting firm that will have a fiduciary relationship with you and your business, and they don't get paid until you get paid.
But I'm sure it takes forever to find out if you're eligible.
Again, no. If you call 800-300-9ERC, you could learn if you're a good candidate in less than 10 minutes.
I make a call that takes less than 10 minutes, and I can find out if my company is pre-qualified to receive a tax credit up to $26,000 per employee.
During the qualifying time frame, yes.
I'm checking out OmegaTaxCredits.com right now.
This conversation was voiced by actors that belong to a company that has already filed for their ERC.
Hey, Collegeville, tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
It's a Wednesday, 8:38 here on Kayal Company, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Nick Kayal, Dawn Stenzelin, Greg Stocker, hanging out with our man Tony Bruno for another 10 or 15 minutes.
You're a crumb creep, lush coward.
Exactly.
Thank you. By the way, I did vote for Frank Rizzo on a ballot that was 13 ballots that were still sent to me. I still kept getting phone calls here in Florida from the Pennsylvania Democratic Party wanting to know who I'm going to vote for in the election. I said, I don't live there anymore, but if you want to send me 13 ballots like you did in 2020 to try to get me to vote in South Philly, I'll gladly fill it. So I just did a what do they call it? Not a mail-in. I did one of those provisional ballots. So I wrote in Frank Rizzo for all of my old school friends in Philadelphia who remember.
You're a coward.
Yeah. When law and order mattered in Philadelphia. And guess what mattered in all these elections? Law and order and public safety.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Number one issue.
Who knew?
What a concept. So who do you think is more happy, Tony? Shirelle Parker to win or Jim Kenney to finally get to exit?
Well, Jim Kenney's been in the exit mode since he came out last year, remember?
Exactly.
And he said, well, you know, it's not fun being the mayor anymore. Some days I wish I didn't have to do this. He should have just resigned that day.
Yeah.
Right? He should have just resigned. And then would anybody know the difference if he had left and come down here to Florida like he used to do during the pandemic and come down here in the sunshine? While everybody was suffering in Philly, locked in their homes, and he was going to Maryland for crab cakes and Florida with his gal pal, to get away from the city.
Yep.
He's a smart guy. They don't stick around and suffer in their own. Well, I don't want to use that word here.
Exactly.
We are still a live show.
Yeah. It's a PG-13 audience, Tom. Come on, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Isn't it funny, too, how Democrats, they love to bang on Florida, but when the chance to move or go there comes, they can't get there fast enough?
Exactly. Now I got a boat, by the way. I don't know if you saw the story.
I did.
Robin and I bought a used boat.
Right.
We had to drive all the way up north, all the way up to Englewood. Not Englewood, California. Englewood, Florida, which is north of here, right near Venice.
Yeah.
We picked up this 23-year-old boat.
Wow.
And we were out there, and the dolphins were following us. What were you doing last week when I was out of my boat near the Gulf of Mexico having a pod of dolphins following our wake?
Watching the
How
Sixers
is your
lose
week
another
going?
game. That's what I was
the
doing.
Sixers lose, and I'm there worrying about Doc Rivers.
Uh-huh.
Are you kidding me?
So you got a boat that's 23 years old. So we're talking about back when the Sixers had Allen Iverson. So how does that thing ride? Is it still in good shape?
It rides as good as the Sixers did back in 2001 with Allen Iverson. I mean, at least the boat gets there. You know, it didn't win. My boat won't win any races, but at least it got in the race.
Yes.
You know, this is. I had a boat growing up in Philly. When I lived in South Philly, I
Yeah.
had a boat. And I'd go down down to Margate, and that was my summer home because I couldn't afford a summer home. So I bought a boat, and my kids grew up on it down in Margate. And I'd go over there to the Memories and see Jerry Blavitt, and I'd go over to Maynard's and get 4 beers for $1 on a Saturday afternoon. That's what we used to do when you lived in the city and you had a boat, and that was your summer home. So I love boating. I haven't had a boat since 2001, so I'm like the Sixers.
Yeah.
Except I'm finishing my trip. I'm advancing now.
Exactly.
I'm advancing now. I'll be in the Gulf of Mexico next week getting some grouper. And if you haven't had grouper, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. Let me get your thoughts on this story. This was a fascinating story we talked about yesterday. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model issue. That's a combination of issue and edition. I just created a new word here on Kayal Company. Martha Stewart, Tony Bruno, 81 years old, the same as Joe Biden. And Greg Stocker was very enamored with what he saw yesterday.
I was impressed. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. I think that's awesome. It's better than putting a dude on there pretending to be a woman, with all due respect.
Well, don't worry. They've done that because now they have 4 different covers.
No, Martha Stewart's amazing. She's still lucid. She's got more endorsement deals now than she did in her heyday when she had the weekly show.
Mm-hmm.
She's blowing up. She's doing stuff with Snoop. How can you not love Martha Stewart?
Yep.
Martha Stewart for president. I think the Republicans should put her up there and let her run and get Snoop as the vice president. And I think everybody will agree on that ticket.
Hey, a Martha and Snoop Republican ticket, Tony.
I love it.
So all the left-wingers out there, take your diversity, equity, and inclusion, and you can shove it with that ticket, pal. How about that?
Damn right. We're trying to help this country, not put it back. Setting us back in chains or whatever hell the Democrat Joe Biden's using this week.
Exactly. Also on the woke front, now this is where I had to rip conservatives yesterday because the big story on Monday was how a Miller Lite beer ad with a biological female went viral and was labeled to be woke and ridiculous. But it came out in March, right around the same time the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light commercial came out. And now all of a sudden, 2 months later, everybody seemingly notices this and says this is the equivalent of what Bud Light did, where I'm saying, no, completely not, because Bud Light used a dude pretending to be a girl. Miller Lite, who, let's face it, they cater to guys. But, there are still some women that drink light beer, and they used a biological female. I didn't understand the outrage from conservatives on Monday about this story, Tony.
You're right. I think it was because I didn't know. I saw that video, and I thought it was funny, and then I saw the outrage, and there's outrage about everything. It doesn't matter. But using the woman make beer, and the women were making beer in Mesopotamia, and then using the poop word and everything, it was kind of funny, but it was, is that going to change? Let's be honest. The last time Miller Lite invented light beer, remember, they were the first. It was just called light.
Yeah.
Miller Lite was smart enough to come up with the first light beer. They had the greatest commercials using athletes, celebrities. But my favorite, and I got to meet the 2 women, was the Miller Lite women who were wrestling. Remember that one? And I met those 2 women, Katana Baker and another woman, who are arguing about, less filling, tastes great, less filling. Remember, those were the 2 camps. Tastes great, less filling. And then they have all the guys in the bars and John Madden brawling. And then they have these 2 beautiful actress women who are like fighting in a pool in a shopping center or at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And they're out there and they're ripping their clothes off. And then at the end, somebody says, "Wow, what a great commercial. All we need to have them is kissing," and then they cut to the scene where they start making out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when beer was beer, and men loved women, and women loved men, and everybody was living happily ever after. When commercials made us laugh.
Yep.
Now they make us cry and make us get angry. Just make us laugh. We already know what the beer are.
Yep.
You're gonna drink. That's why the whole light beer thing is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Drink whatever you want. Who cares?
Hey, well, you know what? You know what beer companies could learn? They could learn from insurance companies, because insurance is one of the most boring things you could ever.
Exactly.
But yet you've got Geico and Progressive, and they do these hilarious commercials, and they're not trying to be political about it.
Exactly. They're just trying, because, if you sit down and say, hey, you're going to save 15% on your car and home insurance, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So now you got to try to attract people to somehow call or go to your website, because that commercial really triggered me to go and see what my rate could be. They're not telling you about, they mention insurance, but you're right, it's about making people laugh and remember what product you're pimping. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no question. Tony Bruno with us here every other Wednesday on Kayal Company. So last Thursday, Tony Bruno. Actually, you know what? Before we get to last Thursday, let's get to last Wednesday. I want to get your reaction because we haven't talked to you about this on the Trump front. We did mention Trump and the Russia probe with the Durham report. But your thoughts and takeaways from what you saw from that CNN town hall that really resembled a Jerry Springer-esque television show between Caitlin Collins and Trump. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, I didn't see it, of course, like most people didn't see it. I don't know what the ratings are. I know Fox's ratings have tanked since they got rid of Tucker. But I'm not in that world of worrying about, I thought it was a smart move by CNN, and you can see, even their own people were criticizing the company. So that's the good thing about working at CNN. You can criticize the company, and if you're like Oliver Darcy or all of these other slugs, who barely exist there, Oliver Darcy's now their main media guy after they got rid of Brian Stelter.
Right.
These are the people now that are, telling everybody what to think, and they can criticize their own company. Big deal. Who doesn't criticize their own company anymore?
Yep.
Seriously. You criticize your own company,
Oh,
don't
Greg
you?
Stalker does it every morning at around 6:05.
That's not right. Stop.
It's not my style. And, it's never been my style to rip the hand that feeds me. But right now, I'm the hand that feeds me.
Right.
So I rip myself every day. You have to rip yourself before you can rip somebody else. That's my motto. You know what I mean? If you're the hand that feeds you, you better take care of it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. This is phenomenal. Hey, by the way, you could be watching us on YouTube.
I want to thank John Fetterman for helping me call my bank yesterday and stand up to them and saying I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. How dare you only give me 0.1% interest? Thank you, John Fetterman, for putting those bankers in their place by asking them the tough questions, by demanding answers that we all want to know. Isn't it unbelievable that they can be bailed out by the very people who are making money in a position where they should never even be allowed to have a tour of the U.S. Senate, let alone sit there asking questions that no one had any idea what he was asking?
Speaking of Fetterman, how about the schedule release?
The Eagles! Yes, the Eagles. The schedule release, I like it. I got the Eagles going 13-1. Which is going to be pretty hard to do because they play 16 games now. So I'll have to write in the last games that I'm still up in the air on, Nick. I know we don't have a lot of time to break down game by game, but I've already looked at all the locations where they're going, and I've already booked all my tickets. I've rented Airbnbs to all those exotic locations that the Eagles would be attending and heading to this coming fall.
There was nobody in the history of sports talk radio that relished breaking down game-by-game predictions in May for games that would be played in November or December than the great Tony Bruno.
But I stole that. Now, that wasn't an original idea. I got that from Mike and the Mad Dog in New York, and that's what they would do every year. The schedule would come out, and, when there's not a lot going on and you can't talk about the Yankees and Mets and the and the Jets and the Giants 24/7 and the NBA teams, you got to break down the schedule. Give them a win, give them a loss, dog. And that's what we would do. So we would sit there, look at the schedule, and then predicate the schedule release on how many wins and how many losses. So that's an ongoing tradition unlike any other. Like the Skins game used to be on Thanksgiving weekend back in the day. On golf, yes.
Damn right. I got to tell you, Mikey, it's a tough spot. You're coming off the big redemption game.
Robin has her win and loss record now. What is the final, Robin?
I don't have a win-loss record. I do have a scheduling update. Just a quick note that the In Tonight program Friday night has been moved to Thursday night. 7 p.m. in case anybody wants to watch it on nofilter.net.
There you go.
Are we allowed to do a shameless plug for my only...
Absolutely.
We shamelessly plug everything for 4 hours a day on this show.
Exactly right.
Yes, that we are going to a special event that will be announced shortly after. It's a big newsworthy event that we will let everybody know about on Saturday.
Down to Naples, baby.
Naples, Florida.
And by the way, if you think Twitter is back to normal, what's trending right now is Wet Wednesday. I don't want any kids out there to go... Wet Wednesday is one of the things trending on Twitter, and dudes. That's what's dudes. Wet Wednesday and Fetterman are now trending on Twitter. if you're scoring at home, and if you are, congratulations. It's a Wednesday morning.
Exactly.
By the way, do not look up Wet Wednesday.
No, don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
Don't look up Wet Wednesday.
Just keep scrolling and keep swiping.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Oh God.
All right, so Robin, Dawn has the Eagles going 16-1 this year when we did the schedule breakdown last Thursday. Robin, are you going to go 17-0, or do you see a few losses on the schedule?
Oh, I definitely see a few losses.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. So you got, what, like 14-3?
I'm looking more like 13.
Robin wants to go out on a boat today. That's all she cares about.
Must be nice.
You're going to need a bigger boat, dude.
Nah, the boat's perfect. It's 21.5 feet, and it's funny because it's a Sea Rate 215.
Yeah.
So I even got the area code, the old school Philadelphia area code 215 on the side of my boat. And the name of my boat was already there from the previous owner, Liberty.
Liberty.
What better name can be? You know, guys put women's name on there because, you know, boats are always associated with females.
Yep.
Liberty, that's the name of the boat, and that's where it's staying.
Well, it's Lady Liberty, right?
It's Lady Liberty.
Wow.
Robin will be doing her Statue of Liberty pose as we head out to the Caloosahatchee River later on this afternoon.
I'm looking for another dolphin encounter. That
Yes.
was amazing.
Dolphins, baby. I want to swim with the dolphins. At least we're not swimming with the fishes.
Right. And when we talk about dolphins in New Jersey, sadly, it's usually a negative story behind that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, but that's a different story for a different day.
And by the way, happy birthday to Trent Reznor, 58 today. Are you going to be playing a block of Trent Reznor in the 9 o'clock hour?
It depends on who made a donation.
9 Inch Nails in the 9 o'clock hour.
All right, Bruno, good stuff. As always, buddy, we appreciate you. Enjoy your boat.
Newcastle, Pennsylvania's own Trent Reznor. Don't you forget about that in 9
exactly.
Inch Nails.
All right. Good to talk to you, pal.
Thanks, guys.
You
Have
got
a great
it.
one.
There he is, Tony Bruno, Miss Robin, boats. We're going to need a bigger boat, folks. Breaking it down. Yeah. I mean, Tony, we went through the Democratic primary, Trump-Russia probe, media distrust by Americans, Martha Stewart, Miller Lite, the Sixers, and the Eagles schedule.
I mean,
how do you do that? How do you do that in 23 minutes?
I have no idea, but we did it. Amen, brother.
Amen to that. All right, so a couple of things to hit on before we get to the 9 o'clock hour. Dawn's Big Three will be coming up shortly. A couple of other stories that we have not got. I do want to get a little bit deeper into this because we only really highlighted and headlined this story. A poll that shows 2/3 of Americans agree that journalists are now mostly advocates and not unbiased. We'll delve into that a little bit when we come back in the 9 o'clock hour. Also, you know, the COVID fallout is fascinating for the crowd of people that were punished, that they lost their job, they were criticized, they were ostracized, and now, as we get all this information, it's not so much my fault or our bad, but it's we'll give you your job back, we'll settle these differences, and we'll give you back pay. We've got some big wins coming up to talk about for teachers that were dismissed for not being vaccinated. That'll be coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, as well as a couple of car stories. You're never going to believe this. A man got pulled over for a DUI, had his dog with him, and decided to put the dog in the driver's seat and flip over to the passenger side.
I mean, that's creative, right?
That is very creative.
I'm not sure it's effective, but it is creative, which means he probably takes a nap each day.
Mr. Officer, he was driving up me.
Oh,
yeah.
You do the voice.
Buddy boy was boozing.
He'd be the liquored up man would be doing the dog voice. Oh, officer, I'm sorry about that. I had a few too many kibbles and bits. I'm the designated doggy.
Exactly.
Sorry.
All right, so we got all of that coming up. The morning mystery movie clip is on the way. We've got a new prize and a great prize as well. And then, of course, we'll find out what's on tap for the Dawn Show, what's on the cut sheet, and who won Twitter today. All still on the way. But first, Dawn Stensland with a word for QC Kinetics.
Yeah, because even though it's a little cooler today than yesterday, you got to think about getting out there, living your life to the fullest, and feeling good. Which brings me to, QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is giving people, seriously, across our region. If you haven't heard about QC Kinetics, they're the nation's leader in this breakthrough type of technology and treatments that are non-invasive. And so that means if you call QC Kinetics, and I'll give you the information in a minute, if you call them and you go to QC Kinetics, and I visited the KOP, King of Prussia, their lab and center there in KOP, just beautiful and great people, great doctors. If you go there, there's no downtime, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to be able to live your life to the fullest. Quality of life is what I'm talking about it, and treating chronic joint pain, that's where it's at. Not just providing that relief, in a revolutionary way, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible. Why? Because they're using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. So whether you suffer the joint pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your aching back, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying these healing properties right where you need them the most. And that means seriously, this is non-surgical, no downtime, no steroids, and no harmful drugs. Patients are raving about the results. So think about it. You get to live your life to the fullest without that downtime. Just give them a call, QC Kinetics. You get a complimentary consultation. They have locations across our region, across the Philadelphia region and the suburbs and so on. 215-999-3000, 215-999-3000. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So call QC Kinetics. You're going to love them. 215-999-3000. Please let them know Dawn sent you.
Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie Kelly from Emmons Roofing and Siding, and I have some exciting news to share. Emmons has partnered with SunPower, the top-rated home solar company in New Jersey. SunPower has been leading the solar industry for over 37 years and is the only U.S. solar company that's lasted longer than their 25-year warranty. Kill the bill. The energy bill, that is. Imagine no more high energy bills, while all the while helping reduce your carbon footprint at no cost to you. It's a win-win. Yes, we now offer solar, but remember, if you need a new roof, siding, doors, windows, or interior remodeling, don't wait. Right now, Emmons is offering all 1210 listeners 10% off roofing, siding, and Anderson windows. And we are continuing to offer 12-month same-as cash financing. And don't forget that lifetime warranty on your roof. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 856-885-6677, emmonsroofing.com. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, kitchens, baths, and solar. Trust Emmons to be your first and last stop for all your home improvement needs. emmonsroofing.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I want to tell you about my friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz of the Bentz Group in East Norriton. I've always enjoyed talking to his staff and patients, and it drives home a big point. Dr. Bentz is a problem solver. People come from all over. Other dentists refer their tougher cases to Dr. Bentz. Whatever your issues are, Dr. Bentz is going to develop a custom plan for your long-term oral health. And yes, give you that smile you've always dreamed of. Plus, if you or a family member have been avoiding going to the dentist due to fear or anxiety, even if it's been years, Dr. Bentz offers sedation dentistry to make your visit a pleasant experience. So if you've been putting off a nagging minor problem, take care of it now before it gets worse. From routine care to dental implants, on-site digital lab, great staff, they'll make the visit the most comfortable and convenient possible. Get the oral care you need and deserve and that beautiful smile that you've always wanted. Visit thebentzdentalgroup.com. Book that appointment today, bentzdentalgroup.com or 610-272-6949.
Growing a business brings pressure. It's not easy to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Fortunately, there's Insperity. Their scalable HR solutions help me with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance while giving my employees competitive benefit options. When my people are able to thrive, my business can adapt and prosper. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
We at Aqua believe water is essential. That's why Aqua Pennsylvania invests more than $300 million yearly to ensure the treatment and delivery of safe drinking water to your homes and businesses. It's also why we ensure wastewater is treated properly and returned to streams and fields cleaner than when we removed it. You can save money and help the environment by finding and fixing leaks in your home, which can reduce your water and wastewater bills. Aqua, an essential utility, making sure quality water is there when you need it.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Kayal Company mornings. Rich Cioli afternoons. Free speech lives here. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
John Petrungolo delivering the beats as we return for a third straight day all week long. Big time donation to the Travis Manion Radiothon Foundation actually 2 months ago now almost. The end of March, he ponied up a good amount of money to take control of the music all week long on Kayal Company. Greg Stalker a little light this week as far as duties. Only has to do the cut sheet.
My duties usually are light.
Well, based on your diet, I understand why. Have a couple of ribeyes like I did on the grill last night. Your duty ain't light, pal.
Wait, 2?
Well, they were thin. They were thinner. Trust me, they were not massive. I think combined they were about 1 pound and 4 ounces total.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I was getting criticized for that too. Yeah,
2 ribeyes is that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's a combination of, I can't believe you're going to eat 2 ribeyes, and then the other half of the crowd were like, well, those look very thin. That's nothing. That's not saying much.
My heart stopped just watching it.
Yeah. Don't worry, my heart will stop too, probably when I'm 57.
Oh, God.
That's why I take the nap. 855-839-1210, because eventually we're all going to take a permanent nap, and it'll be a wrap. Dawn's got the big 3 coming up in a little bit. Morning mystery movie clip. The big stories of the day, our big take this morning, more of the, essentially election interference. The feds, the FBI, the DOJ, this perpetual help to the Democratic Party. We focused in on the big take this morning and how Republicans can overcome that. And one person was not able to overcome a presumably crowded field, and that was Helen Gim, as she does not win the Democratic primary for the mayoral race yesterday. That goes to Shirelle Parker, which means coming up in November, she will be the first female mayor, the 100th mayor in Philadelphia history, as she is going to go on to victory. Rebecca Reinhart coming in second, Helen Gim third, and a couple random white guys fourth and fifth, because, that's the world we live in these days, which is fine.
It is.
It is what it is. But I did think yesterday was interesting from a show up and vote standpoint, and this also, because we're going to bring in Anthony Dorenzo here for a moment. I have said on this show, like the younger generation, they love to, go about their life publicly, and they have their AirPods in, and they don't want to be bothered by society. They don't want to have conversations with people. I'm the exact opposite. Now, when I get done doing a show, I don't want to do another show with friends or family. Like, I'm done talking about the issues of the day. But like if I go to the grocery store, I've said on this show in the past, I like to hear the ambiance of the shopping carts.
That's weird.
I want Bob the butcher to say hello.
That's weird.
I want to smell the fabric softener in the laundry aisle. It's a thing.
A creepy guy shopping alone smelling fabric softener.
Right. Random bald guy walking around doing stuff.
Dawn, lock up your kids.
That's correct. But Dorenzo is one of these guys. I'm assuming when he's out and about in Center City as a resident, he throws the earbuds in and he does his walk or whatever. Well, yesterday, he's doing some stuff that is work-related, and he gets heckled, so to speak. But let's bring him in to explain how and why he took the AirPods out and what transpired. Anthony, give us this story, because I thought this was pretty interesting yesterday.
Yeah, so I was on my way to vote, as all of us do on Election Day, and I was walking, as I always do, with my AirPods in, and 10 feet is the rule in Pennsylvania, first of all, before we get into this. 10 feet, you're allowed to be 10 feet outside of the polling location and campaigning for whoever that may be. And I see, there's a decent amount of commotion. There's a park that I vote at, so there's some kids around too. But either way, I'm walking. I still have my AirPods in. I was pretending like I was on the phone because I purposely did not want to talk to any of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like talking louder. I'm walking a little faster. And the more I like approach the doors, this guy comes up to me and he's like screaming at me at this point. So I have to take out my ear pods and I'm like, "What's up? I'm sorry. I was talking to my girlfriend. What's up?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry. I really wanted to talk to you because I'm Helen Kim's uncle and we would really appreciate your vote. And the girl you just walked by, that's Helen Kim's daughter. And you need to meet her." And he walked me over to her and I shook her hand. I was like, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." Blah blah blah. And obviously, I'm a little biased. I mean, all of us here, we're saying don't vote for Helen. But at the same time, imagine if you were someone who was considering Rebecca or Helen or Shirelle or Helen, and they come up to you, they bombard you, and they force you to introduce yourself to them. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a bad look for anyone who might have even been considering voting for Helen. So definitely it seemed desperate. And, I guess Alan Dom or Jeff Brown could have done something similar, but it seemed like, I mean, I could be wrong, but it seemed like Helen was very aggressive in a sense, at least from what I saw.
Well, based on the results with her finishing in third, now you see why they had to resort to this. They're basically pandering with family members.
Yeah, vote for my niece. Vote for my mom. Yeah, it'll work out. And then I saw other pollers doing the same thing. Like, would you vote for my wife?
Right.
No, leave me alone, man. Oh my God.
Wow. So now you said there's a 10-foot rule?
Yes, Pennsylvania, you only have to be 10 feet out of the polling location. So it's a pretty lax rule compared to other states. You're not even allowed to be at the facility, depending on the state.
So 10 feet for that, 6 feet for social distancing. I'm just trying to keep track of all these different distances here. All right, there you go. Anthony DiRenzo, man about town. Occasionally will take out the AirPods from his ears. If you shout and beg him and chase him down the street, he'll eventually respond to you. Nice work, buddy. All right, there's Anthony DiRenzo, 855-839-1210. It's 9:08. We did not have a big three in the 8 o'clock hour because of Tony Bruno joining us, so we've got one right now with Dawn Stenslin, Big Three at 9.
It's the Big 3 at 9 on Kayal Company.
And a big news day to boot post-election, and the votes are still being counted across our region with 87 to 89% of those vote totals in. Shirelle Parker appears to be making history, as many say she will be, Philadelphia's 100th mayor and first woman. As an African-American woman and longtime familiar face here, was my city council person in the Northwest, but in city council for about a decade before she went on to serving in the House of Representatives, but widely endorsed by local and state politicians in her party as the Democrats move forward, a pro-police candidate. We are sponsored this morning by the American Heritage Credit Union. I have to bring you to Montgomery County because we're talking about the election. And in Montgomery County, a bit of an upset on the GOP side here for these, contentious races for commissioner seats. Incumbent Joe Gale defeated by two rivals who'd been endorsed by the GOP, businessman Tom DiBello, as well as Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce executive Liz Ferry. And so the winners now face off in the November general election. But this one is a bit of an upset because, of course, the Gale brothers, well known in this area, Joe Gale, a big name in Montgomery County. Mm-hmm. But I know that for Liz Ferry, she especially had said, hey, I can win this. I can win against Democrats. Joe Gale in Montgomery County, which has turned more purple, is a tougher sell, and that seat could fall to the Democrats.
You can't go, especially in the Bluebell, Plymouth Township area where I reside. You can't go more than a block without a Gale sign. They were everywhere, everywhere. So
yeah, he's a big name here, obviously. So I wanted to point that out to you, though, that it was a very tough campaign, but Liz Ferry and Tom DiBello winning that one in Montgomery County. As we look at the suburban stuff, we've talked a lot this morning. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking a whole lot about Shirelle Parker with a clear lead against any of her opponents, and Helen Kim. You may be surprised if you're waking up, but she didn't even come in second. So late last night, it was really Rebecca Reiner neck and neck with Shirelle Parker, but Shirelle Parker with a clear lead in that race on the Democrat side. Obviously, the Democrat will face off with Republican David O., a longtime city councilman in Philadelphia. But because we are 7 Democrats to every 1 registered Republican, a tough sell for David O. Shirelle Parker, continuing to recover this morning, had some kind of medical dental emergency. We're not sure exactly what that is. We've been reaching out to her this morning to try to get her on to talk to her, a pro-police candidate, but apparently she is still being treated and still recovering from that injury, whatever had gone on. We don't know if it was a dental procedure that became infected, so we continue to be concerned for her. Her campaign saying she's going to be okay, but just can't speak out this morning, obviously with a dental situation. So we'll await that word. We also have a solemn morning and final farewell this morning to a local policeman killed in the line of duty, and family, friends, fellow members of law enforcement from across our region as well as from across the nation paying final respects right now. This is going on right now, just began 12 minutes ago. So the funeral for Officer Robert Bobby Schisler is being held today. The funeral actually takes place at noon today, but this is a Deptford policeman killed, shot in the line of duty, and suffered in ICU as they tried to save his life for nearly 2 months and succumbed to those injuries. So we know that the criminal investigation and the investigation to exactly what happened, that continues, as well as the fundraisers to help out his family with some of the costs. But the 27-year-old Officer Bobby Schisler leaves behind his parents, and you see them, it's being live streamed. And you see his parents, many going by in the procession line there, his parents, his brother, his sister, and from all of us, our hearts certainly go out to the family, the fellow officers, and to this beautiful community that has come out in such a loving way. You know, kids,
very well said.
It's heart-wrenching when we see this family and their grief in the community, but it's a reminder during this Law Enforcement Appreciation Week when we think about the dangers of those who protect and serve.
Yeah, think about it, the lack of salary that they get and the lack of appreciation that they receive, especially from, one political party that wanted to demonize them. I mean, God bless those people.
Yeah, it's so true this morning. And number 3, I have to go to Delaware County, where Democrats in Pennsylvania taking a huge victory lap after pumping a ton of money into Delaware County, a tiny little race that has huge ramifications, even ramifications for example, voting laws and shoring up fair elections moving forward into the presidential 2024 race. So this was a huge election happening in Delaware County. Why? Because there was a vacancy about 2 months ago, a seat vacated by disgraced Democrat and former Representative Mike Zabel, who had resigned amid those sexual harassment, groping allegations by female co-workers and even those who helped out with his campaign. Multiple women had come forward. He resigned. Republican Katie Ford was tapped to try to fight for this seat, but outspent certainly 4-1 by Democrats who fought hard to get a partisan. Heather Boyd wins the seat. So Democrats taking that victory lap, and Governor Josh Shapiro taking a victory lap as he had appeared in the ads, and President Joe Biden was even here this week stumping for the Democrats for that huge win. And never forget, this razor-thin majority for the Democrats in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives matters. It matters when you think about Riley Gaines and her congressional testimony. It matters with elections. It matters. A huge defeat for Republicans in Pennsylvania. So we'll point that one out to you as well. We are sponsored this morning by the American Heritage Credit Union, is the place for first-time home buyers with in-house realtors, 500 lender credit for new homeowners. Visit AmericanHeritageCU.org/FTS for details. Loan subject to credit approval, insured by NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender, and Equal Housing Lender as well. NMLS 433838 NMLS. Thank you, American Heritage Credit Union, for sponsoring our Big 3 at 9 Kayal Company.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 855-839-1210. Morning Mystery Movie Clip coming up in 5 minutes. But before we get back to some of the other stories that we're going to highlight before we get out of here this morning, I've been tipped off to some very interesting information that has not been shared on this show this morning. And maybe some members of the show are aware of this, but nobody, to my knowledge, unless I was drifting off and not paying attention, has acknowledged this on the air. But today's a big day. Very big day.
May 17th.
May 17th.
Yes. May the 17th be with you. No,
Yes.
That's not today.
May 17th, 2023 marks the 20-year anniversary. So you got to go back to May 17th of 2003.
Okay.
Nothing to do with Allen Iverson and the Sixers or the playoffs. Nothing to do with, anything politically. It has everything to do with the guy that is sitting behind the board right now. The producer of the show, the executive producer, the co-host, the brand manager.
Me?
Yeah, it's all about you, man. Are you even aware of this?
I don't want to. I'm
either
scared. Dawn, help me.
Either Greg is unaware or he's trying to play it low key, Dawn. But did you know?
News to get through here, Dawn.
Did you know that today is the 20th anniversary of Greg Stocker joining the company?
Is it?
You really didn't know?
I really didn't know.
I was just given a text from the boss man, David Yadgaroff, who said, just wanted to share a little show prep with you if you feel it's appropriate. Nice of the boss to give me the option of whether or not I should share it or not. And he says today Greg celebrates his 20th anniversary of joining the company.
Woohoo!
20 years of Stocker.
Oh my God, I'm old.
20 years.
Greg's initial facial reaction is this.
Holy crap! I'm old.
He's old.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. I had no idea. I had no idea that I was.
Where are you? Hello.
I had no idea that today was my 20th anniversary.
20 years, man.
With, what were we at the time? Infinity Broadcasting, I think. I think we were Infinity Broadcasting at the time.
Wasn't even CBS?
No. I believe it was Infinity. Then it was CBS Radio. Then Entercom. And now Odyssey.
Yeah. Look at you. You've survived. You've been with one company for 20 years under 4 brandings.
I have, yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
The station I started at was YSP, which is now WIP.
Right, 94.1.
Yeah, but 20
20
I had
years,
no idea. 21 years officially in radio because I was at that rock station there in Allentown for a little while too.
You know, I could have done this at the end of a segment, but I figured I would do it.
We're in the middle of a segment. Wow, that's very nice.
Yeah, and I made sure that Yadgaroff did this as well.
Can we check our work, please, before we put it on the air and save it? 20 years. 20 years, which means I have about a year left here. And then they're like, well, it's been fun.
Yeah.
20 years. Here's your watch.
Yeah. Here's your watch.
All my haters out there, don't worry. I'll be gone soon.
Yeah. So all the haters out there that give you crap on social media, my guy might be doing something right to be around 20 years.
Trek 200 on YouTube says, does Greg get another week of PTO? Wait till the summer, guys.
Yeah.
I'm barely going to be here in the summer.
And that news came via text message, not this.
Can we stop getting our news from Twitter?
That did not come from Twitter, folks.
Wow.
It came from a text.
How many yelling drops do you have?
We got this one as well.
Just because your job sucks doesn't mean the radio station you listen to has to.
So what was going on at that time? You were on with Smirkanish?
2003. No, I was a lowly promotions board op at 94.
That's where we all start out, right?
WYSP. I was hanging banners for the rock station, and then I think I came to WPHT as a part-time producer in 2004, maybe.
Yeah. Remember back in the day when they had the ground crew, they would call them, or the street team?
Yep.
Like your first job in radio, if you want to get on the air, if you want to be a producer, usually you got to work with the promotions department and hand out beer koozies, at an appearance for 2 hours, and you're like, wait a minute. I went to college for 4 years, and I'm standing out here on the curb handing out
I was just going to say
keychains.
that. I was just checking your life choices, and when all your other friends are doing things that are making them, $50, $60 a year, and I'm making $7 an hour.
Right. As you're $30,000 in debt from college loans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then 2005, Dawn, is when I started doing mornings here with Michael Smirkanish.
Okay.
Wow.
And so it was George W. Bush, occupation of Iraq. I'm trying to think of news-wise. I'm looking up like what was going on when Greg Stocker, and were you 23 years young?
I was young, yes. I was very young. I was very young. I had a lot to learn. I was very naive then.
Some would say you still have a lot to learn.
I do. But
there you go.
Thank
Greg
you,
Stocker,
everybody.
20 years, man. Congratulations, buddy. Nice work out of you.
I had
Really
no
good.
idea that today was that day.
Yeah, today's the day. And we made sure everybody was aware of it. All right, 9:21. It's time to get to the Morning Mystery Movie Clip.
And now, the Morning Mystery Movie Clip on Kayal Company. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Everywhere.
There's everywhere! Damn it! There's on the windows!
What is happening?
Oh my God! My house is full of He's everywhere! Look what he did! He's all over the wall!
When can you do it? How about tonight at 8?
Great. Thanks. Thank you, Lloyd. I gotta go upstairs.
Think you know what it is? Be call at 12 at 855-839-1210, and you could win this great prize.
How about this prize? A $25 gift card to Delco Steaks, located on Westchester Pike over in Broomall, Pennsylvania. Caller 12-855-839-1210. If you can identify that clip from 20 years ago, came out in 2003. Actually, coincidentally enough, the same year Greg Stocker started at the company. $25 gift card to Delco Steaks on Westchester Pike in Broomall. See if we get a winner when we come back here on a Wednesday on Kayal Company. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, it's Rich. It's only 40 days up to 40 pounds. Just say it with me. 40 days up to 40 pounds. The warmer weather is here. It's time to shed that winter fat and be slimmer before summer. Stop covering up with oversized sweatshirts and contact NJ Diet. They will contractually guarantee you'll lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone, so you can finally lose that weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. The best part, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. You even get the doctor's personal email and phone number. So what are you waiting for? Book your consultation today by calling 855-5NJ-DIET or going to njdiet.com. Lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in just 40 days. NJDiet.com.
The Dude Dental Group, official dentist of the Philadelphia Eagles, is a proud supporter of the Talk Radio 1210 Radiothon for the Travis Manion Foundation. Dr. Dilip Dudat grew up in North Wales, graduated from North Penn High School and Temple Dental School. Today, Dr. D and his team supports our local area by providing advanced dental care using the latest technology at 30 area practices and contributes to the local economy with 250 team members. The Dudat Dental Group, proud supporter of the Travis Manion Foundation. Visit PhiladelphiaEaglesDentist.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
Shirelle Parker has won the Democratic nomination for Philadelphia mayor. Democratic Dan McCafferty and Republican Carolyn Carluccio have won their primaries in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court race, and 3 New Jersey teens are facing charges in the deadly shooting of a taxi driver in Franklin Township.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio, now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
The summer starts here, so it's time to enjoy the savings going on at Toyota. Choose from your favorite models, including RAV4, Camry, Highlander, and Tacoma. Shop online at Toyota.com or visit your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. Don't miss Good News in Real Estate with Deanne Katsaros and Mark Cumberland, Saturdays at 1 p.m. Find out all you need to know about home buying and selling. Considering a career in real estate? Visit PhiladelphiaRealEstateClasses.com. Good News in Real Estate, Saturdays 1 p.m. on WPHT.
Phillies baseball is in full swing.
It's a 3-run home run for Alec Bohm and a 6 RBI night.
With the free Odyssey app, you can stream the team all summer long in your backyard, at the beach, or wherever you're listening.
The ball bobbled. The Phillies win. Bryson Stott has won it.
Phillies baseball. Phillies announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
Hello, I'm Greg Figueroa.
And I'm David Figueroa.
Over 30 years ago, my brother Greg and I set out on a mission to offer the world a better hot sauce.
That's right, David. We made Melinda's thicker, hotter, and better than ordinary hot sauces.
And now we have 32 exciting and delicious sauces that hot sauce fans are obsessed with, like our ghost pepper sauce, our Thai sweet chili, and our best-selling black truffle hot sauce.
Melinda's also has 5 spicy ketchups made with real sugar and no added junk like high fructose corn syrup. People ask David and I, what makes Melinda so good? That's easy. We think like chefs do. Instead of burning someone with hot peppers and vinegar, we use fresh plant-based ingredients and the finest chili peppers perfectly blended to set your mouth on flavor.
Go to melindas.com to find our line of craft condiments at Walmart and other fine retailers. And right now, get a 10-pack of our best-selling sauces with free shipping at melindas.com. That's melindas.com. melindas.com.
Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra.
His whole family is unbelievably talented. I can't believe it.
Oh my goodness, it was absolutely wonderful. All the voices and the singing. I mean, he could just imitate anyone, any sound. Excellent. Oh my goodness, it was just too hilarious. Too hilarious.
See Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra at Wildwood Catholic Academy High School, 1500 Central Ave in North Wildwood, Saturday, July 22nd. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
Want to see our Philly baseball team in the nation's capital? The Zeoli Army is heading to Washington to see Philadelphia take on Washington June 3rd with fans of Philly. Rich Zeoli will host this fun day in the nation's capital. We'll depart Philly in the morning by motor coach and enjoy some adult beverages and snacks. Then watch Philly take on Washington from great outfield seats with the Zeoli Army all sitting together. Book your trio now before it closes at fansofphilly.com. That's fans with a P of Philly.com. This trip closes soon.
She wants to be a doctor.
Okay, Dolly, say ah.
He's going to build houses.
Dad, I need more nails.
Kids have big dreams. You can help them come true by planning for their future education by considering the PA 529 College and Career Savings Program. Reward your child with opportunities for a bright future and give them an early start on a rewarding finish, a career they've always dreamed of. Discover more at PA529.com or call 800-440-4000.
Paid for by the PA 529 College and Career Savings Program.
Hey, you've heard me talk about Chapman Windows, Doors, and Siding. I think the world of the Chapman family team, and they've done a beautiful job in my home. Not just because it looks beautiful, but it's also more energy efficient. And that's really an important piece of things. You got to check out the website. Take a virtual tour, chapmanwindowsdoors.com, and see how they can customize anything you want if that's your thing. For example, the Nano Wall product, you got a gorgeous wall of glass, doors, and windows. It's transformational in your home. And Chapman also offers premium architecture shutters designed to last a lifetime warranty, as well as pretty much anything you want. Windows, doors, exterior doors, interior doors. They are experts in stucco remediation, siding. The Chapman family team, whatever you need, they're going to offer meticulous work, outstanding service, and such high-quality products installed by high-quality people. They get it, and they're going to respect your family budget, too. You can call them. You can text them, 610-431-8898, 610-431-8898, or take that virtual tour, or just check them out online at chapmanwindowsdoors.com. Chapman is the name I trust. Please let them know Dawn sent you.
Hey, Ben Salem, tell your smart speaker play 1210 WPHT.
$9:29, Kayal Company, as we continue. It is a Wednesday morning. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. 10 minutes out from what is on the cut sheet part due. We'll find out what's on tap for the Dawn Show at 10 o'clock today. And who won Twitter today. All still on the way, but right now, we've got Bill in Philly on the line, who has identified the morning mystery movie clip correctly. Bill, what was the clip that we just played for you about 7 minutes ago?
Dumb and Dumber.
Well, here's the thing. Now this is
judges.
This is judges. So it was dumb.
Wait. Let him try it again. Let him try it again.
All right. We'll give you a second shot here. Just clean that up a little bit.
Dumb and Dumber when Harry met Lloyd?
No, No, it's a few extra additional letters on the end of the second word. It was not the original from 1995. It was not the remake in 2014 with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
Wait. I'm getting a ruling from our judges here.
Okay.
When Harry Met Lloyd, it is correct.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
So was it labeled wrong?
I have it in my email as Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Like Budweiser.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But Bill, anyway, you won, so you got the $25 gift card to Delco Steaks, located on Westchester Pike in Broomall. So congratulations for winning, and thank you for listening, buddy.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
You got it, Bill. I didn't mean to confuse you, but I was just the way it was sent to me, which I guess technically is the beginning title.
I guess so.
Dumb and Dumber, which I thought was terrible, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. It was not as good as the first.
Just stop with these remakes.
Yeah. Like, how do you remake how do you do Dumb and Dumberer without Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels?
That's a great point.
Like and to be honest, the reboot of it, the second one with the original guys in 2013 or 2014, it was solid, but it was not as good as the original classic.
Yeah, agreed.
At all. So there you go, 855-839-1210. A couple of stories to quickly hit on before we get to part 2 of the cut sheet. So I did mention that, the poll about Americans and their lack of trust in journalists, but I just wanted to give some of those numbers that we didn't get to this morning, if you were listening earlier, when we tied that in with, the lack of trust that we have with politicians, because as we told you earlier this morning, only 23% of eligible registered voters in Philadelphia showed up to vote yesterday for the Democratic primary. Which is a very interesting, number to process. And with the media, it's kind of the same way with journalists these days. So in the latest Harris poll that we referenced earlier, 2 in 3 voters in the poll conducted by Harris X agree that journalists, and this was one of the things I asked Tony Bruno about because he's a journalist as well, that journalists mostly practice advocacy rather than unbiased journalism. And in that 2 out of 3 in the polls that were surveyed, that includes 77% of Republicans that feel this way and 61% of Democrats. 3 in 4 voters agreed that the media gives a biased picture of political events, including 68% of Democrats, 80% of Republicans, and 76% of independents. And then more than 80% of voters agreed that, quote, we need a new news medium dedicated to even-handed treatment of issues without the political bias. And I was thinking about this morning as well, because yesterday we gave you that follow-up story to the latest fight to keep AM radios in cars. Now, GOP representatives in Congress going to bat, trying to make sure that companies like even Ford, BMW, Tesla, that we could, push back against this movement to eliminate the AM radio in cars. That's another reason why we need to have talk radio available on the AM band and have the AM band exist, because you need to have alternative news sources. Because if you don't, then in the media, all you are getting is the left-wing slant. And this radio, story with cars right now and the future of electric vehicles is so big that when I went into the sales meeting yesterday, our sales guys were talking and had a whole slideshow presentation on, the inner workings of, what you got to do to keep AM radio alive in these car companies.
I'm glad that our management and our sales team is doing that, because this goes back to the point that we've kind of all made on the show all week, is that people only read headlines. They don't know full stories. So all they're seeing is AM radio's done because it's going to be out of cars.
Yep.
Not like this really isn't going to affect AM radio for probably another
decade,
10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Yes. But it is something that is concerning, obviously.
Sure.
But it's not an immediate threat. And, they're trying to get ahead of it because business owners, listeners, clients are going to be like, well, why am I going to advertise on an AM radio station when it's going to be gone tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not to pat ourselves on the back, but that's what we do here. Listen,
Well,
that's
most
what
of
I
us,
that's what I do here.
Dawn's just used to winning, so Dawn's used to it. So she's like, yeah, it's just
My point is that this is you get the biggest bang for your buck right here on this radio station.
I mean, I would argue, especially, on this station specifically, because I have a frame of reference to work from. I don't really consume conservative talk radio from other stations across the country. I'm not that kind of, radio consumer. Other than listening to some of the stuff on this station, I try not to listen to a lot of radio at all, period, because I want to just make sure that my opinions are authentic. And that's the point of this is, I think whether it's me, Greg, Dawn, Dom, Rich, Matt Rooney, anybody else that does a show on this station, you get authenticity. I mean, there's nothing prepackaged and fabricated and contrived. And, a majority of you that listen to us agree overall with what we're saying, but sometimes you disagree. And then there's, the select few out there that aren't Republicans that listen, and they listen for, I don't know, just to get aggravated or whatever it is. But you know what? At the end of the day, you might not agree with everything we say, but this is a station and a format that's built on free speech, and you're getting we're not concocting takes just for the sake of, trying to create radio. I very rarely am I outraged over something, but when I am, I let it rip because that's just me being authentic. I don't do the fake outrage radio every day. So I think you get authenticity from Dawn, from Dom, from Rich, to me, to anybody else. And if you take that away, then you're taking away this non-biased journalism. And look, I'm not a journalist. I know Rich isn't. I know Dom isn't. But Dawn is. And you see all these stories about how, most Americans, they don't trust the media. They don't trust journalists. They don't trust politicians. I think we might be in the select minority here of people that, actually people trust.
I think that it goes beyond us here as broadcasters. Think about any end of times movie you've ever seen. What happens? They're at least able to use some kind of AM radio. There's some guy somewhere who prepared, who's a military-minded guy who prepared for this kind of scenario. And he's down in his basement and he starts communicating with other such Americans and citizens who prepared. And what do they use? They use radio, and a lot of times ham radio, but there's also that AM radio type of scenario by which the government or big industry, such as an app, doesn't necessarily control it. And it's those AM radio waves, right, that they save the world. So to me, it goes to a liberty question, and it goes to freedom. And I view it, if I'm looking at the big picture here, what they're doing is they just want to, throughout time, shut down our opportunities for liberty and for freedom. And that's really what this is about.
About control.
Yep.
Well said.
By the way, I just texted out on the at 1210 WPHT Twitter page ways that you can help. Tell Congress why you depend on AM. Text AM, the letters AM, to 52886. Once again, text AM to 52886, and let our local Congress people know that you depend on this station and others on the AM band.
Exactly right.
I just texted it out, or I just tweeted it out on the station's webpage, or the station's Twitter page at 1210 WPHT. Maga Man wants to know why we're not on FM. It's a very good question, Maga
question.
Man. Yeah. I mean, look, it's
I'm going to buy an FM stick tomorrow with my spare money.
There's a very old school way of looking at what we do, and they are afraid of conflict. They're afraid of advertiser backlash. They're afraid of boycotts. And when I mean they, let me be clear of who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the management here. By far, our biggest cheerleaders are David Yageroff and Dave Skopinich, the two people who run Odyssey Philadelphia. They are our biggest cheerleaders. They champion the reason we're as successful as we are is because we have management that believes in what we do. I'm just saying that the general consensus in radio is that this type of radio needs to be relegated to AM because When it's on FM, it's more prominent, and you're more liable to have boycotts by advertisers.
That's correct.
Miller Lite might not like what we say, or Bud Light might not like what we say. So keep them on AM, where let's face it, if you're under 40, do you even go to the AM band these days? So we're we try and really battle. It's an uphill battle for us.
Mm-hmm.
You put us on an even playing field. On YouTube, on the Odyssey app, on any other, platform that is accessible to everybody, and we compete with the greatest radio stations in the city.
Yes, indeed.
Bar none. You tie our hands behind our back, and we can only do what we can only do.
Can I rip somebody before we get to the cut sheet?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mentioned about not getting angry and having fake outrage, but when I do get outraged, I'm going to let it fly. So I just want to, because all morning long I've been getting tweets from this guy named Joe Moore. So I've responded to him on Twitter, but I want to just
I responded too. I don't know what he means.
Yeah, I'm going to lay this out for him one last time. And so, Joe, if you're listening, and you're still listening, because I know you are, because you love this show like so many people do. Joe says, in response to our Watch the Kayal Company show stream tweet, he says, wow, the Trump hate. I can't even listen anymore. That was 2 hours ago. I said, the Trump hate? What exactly are you complaining about? He finally responds back 2 hours later. He says, nothing. You guys are an important part of the any Republican but Trump conservative media. So I responded to him and I said, Joe, you were tweeting Trump voters. You're aware of that, right? You sound uninformed and soft. So I'm not going to rant and rave. I'm not going to yell. But Joe, get some facts and come back and see me.
Sometimes I think people are in and out of their vehicle.
I don't know that. I think people have selective hearing.
Yeah.
Like they hear. Like I have no idea what in the big take would lead you to think anti-Trump.
Was it the big take?
I have no idea.
See, I thought it was when we were having the conversation about women voters.
Ah, yes.
That's the only thing I could
with Nikki
think
Haley.
of.
We were talking about
we're
Nikki
trying
Haley.
to guess what somebody. Yeah. But this is why we care. We care what you think. We do care and we respond, right? And we respect everybody. Well,
Joe, stop listening then. I don't care.
Aw, I care. No, the only thing I could think of when we were talking about Nikki Haley, and I think we both agreed, women have made up their minds.
Yeah, yeah.
And the MAGA moms that I know,
Nikki won't bring them back.
There's nothing that is going to change their mind. They're pro-Trump women,
right?
And they want Trump back.
Yeah.
So if you have that and you have the anti-Trump women, then a Tim Scott Veep could attract bring over maybe a different voter. That's what we were talking about. I'm not really sure what he meant.
I don't know. Joe, go get a ham sandwich, grab a root beer, put your feet up, and have a good day. As we get to What's on the Cut Sheet, part due on a Wednesday.
What's on the Cut Sheet?
Part due. Trying to pull this up here.
Trying to pull what up?
Hang on.
Trying to pull up my pants. Hold on, give me a second, boys.
Let's go in the way back machines, shall we?
Yeah, you want to go back to the 6 o'clock hour?
No, Chris Matthews used to host a show on Hardball before he was ousted for being a creepo.
Daryl Hammond used to impersonate him on
so good.
SNL so well.
I've been in the presence of Chris many times. He's look, to be honest with you, he's a good guy. I know his nephew is a big listener. And
LaSalle College High School.
Yes, I love Jimmy Matthews, even though he doesn't he doesn't always love Kayal Company, but it's fine. Karine Jean-Pierre used to be a guest on the Chris Matthews Hardball program.
Wow.
Especially in the 16 and 17. Actually, I think this is 2018. Mm-hmm. She said this about the Trump-Russia collusion back in April of 2018.
Wow. I want an answer. Do you think he's guilty?
I think he's crazy.
I think he's guilty?
Yes.
What's he guilty of?
I think he's guilty because he knows.
What did he do?
Okay. Well, he's the one who can answer that. I think.
No,
what
is he? You said he's guilty. What's he guilty of?
Well, I think he feels that there is something that's going to come out about Russia. Remember, there's money laundering. He knows what the Trump organization has been doing.
Go ahead.
Wow, she actually was looking down the whole time she was talking as I'm watching. Well, actually, she lifts her head up a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's no binder to look at.
No, I know.
This was the pre-binder KJP era.
She does seem a little flummoxed too. Chris Matthews was very good at talking over his guests. Not that she shouldn't have been talked over, but he was very good about pressing his guests, even when he may have agreed with them.
So I'm unaware of this. What was her role or title?
She was just a pundit, I think, right, Dawn?
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea she had any political pundit background.
She did.
Based on what she says every day,
It's interesting you say that because so is Jen Psaki, and she's way more polished than KJP is.
She's wittier, she's more intelligent, and she's certainly a much better public speaker.
Exactly. So what is KJP saying these days about the Durham report? She held a press conference yesterday. This was literally the last question asked.
Yeah.
She's packing everything up and leaving in mid-sentence when a journalist asked her about the Durham report.
What is the White House reaction to Special Counsel Durham's report on how the FBI handled the Trump-Russia probe?
I would leave it to the Department of Justice to speak to.
He talks often about how he wants the DOJ and FBI to remain independent and above the fray. That report seems to reflect the opposite. Does he agree with Special Counsel Durham that there needs to be wholesale changes at the FBI?
Again, that is with the Department of Justice. That's not something that I'm going to speak from the podium. As you just stated in your question, we believe in an independent Department of Justice. That's what the President said when he was running, and that's what the President has said the last 2 years. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in Japan.
Wow.
See you, bye!
Yeah. So
talk to the department. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, normally she would refer you to the White House counsel, but she says, come talk to me. I'll see you tomorrow, as we hear on Kayal Company all the time.
Yeah.
What the other thing too with her, and actually let me go to the question there, because that question was not a great question because he gave her an exit.
Yeah.
He gave her the opportunity to wiggle out, and she basically recited part of the question back to him. So that question's got to get cleaned up if we're going to be petty here.
During the weekly political roundtable, Washington Week, it airs Friday evening on PBS.
I watch it every week.
Which means nobody watches it. They had a bunch of journalists all discussing how to avoid Trump live appearances. Literally as networks.
Mm-hmm.
How do you cover Donald Trump, since he is the front runner for the GOP? Guest moderator was Laura Barron Lopez, and one of her guests was Washington Post columnist Dan Balz.
Dan who?
Balz.
Balz. Okay.
Dan Balz, B-A-L-Z.
Balz.
Discussing how mainstream media is going to cover Trump going forward.
Okay.
I think that all of us here tonight can agree that no one says we should not cover the former president. But media outlets, Dan, are reevaluating how to cover the former president.
By the way, this is a riveting conversation.
Man, by the way, it's a total failure already. What do you mean, how do you cover him? You unbiased and just report facts. Like this isn't rocket science. Okay, go ahead.
What do you think our role, the press, plays in defending democracy?
Well, we play an important role. I mean, we are protected by the First Amendment to hold government to account and to hold government officials to account, and part of that is protecting democratic institutions. I think the challenge with President Trump, and I think that what happened on Wednesday night was unfortunate, was that it was as though we unlearned the lessons that we thought we had learned from 2016 and 2020 and his time in the White House. Yes, he's the leading candidate for the Republican nomination. That means we have to cover him in some way or another. But I thought that this event elevated him in ways that was unnecessary, particularly at this point in the cycle. I mean, we're in May 2023, and I thought that CNN gave him more of a platform than they needed to do, and with a format that, in essence, favors the candidate rather than, Caitlin Collins, who had a very tough job and worked at it throughout the 70 minutes of it. My own view is on this that we need to be quite restrained in the way we approach Trump's candidacy.
Restrained.
That we do not treat any event like a big event. We've been successful on that for many of his rallies. We don't cover the rallies in the way we did before.
Oh, God.
I think, again, what happened on Wednesday night was a reminder that...
You know what? I could clean these stations up in a second.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get ratings? Come on.
So you're telling me, Mr. PBS guy, you would not carry a Trump, town hall on your network?
Seems to be what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, and I love how, too, that it's, we got to hold the government accountable. He said that in the beginning.
Yep.
They never hold the government accountable when
Just
it's
cover the news.
When it's ran by Democrats.
Yeah.
Just cover the news.
I know.
He's a candidate. He's a former president and a major player and was a star of NBC Network.
Yeah.
Why don't they put them on the fire since NBC had him as a major star for 17 years?
Yes.
Winning all the ratings. So just cover the news and shut up.
And thank you, Dawn.
You
Get
okay,
him.
Dawn?
Get him.
Sorry.
I like
Very
when Dawn
fired
gets
up
ticked
today.
off.
Sorry.
She is very fired up.
She's had a
today.
couple of moments today. I like it.
Okay. No, I want it. I want more of it.
Yes.
I love...
ridiculous.
Well, think about how
17
ridiculous...
hours of Dawn.
Think about how ridiculous it is that they're having a discussion on air of how to do their job.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever hear us on Kayal Company or on any other show having a powwow as to how we should cover a story?
No.
Because we know how to cover a story and we don't overcomplicate it.
Yep.
These buffoons are sitting there having a powwow on how to do their job.
Because we're not trying to control a narrative.
No.
And so they cannot control somebody who's not a swamp monster.
Yes.
And so that's what this is all about. Every topic we've pretty much covered, right, is about control issues.
Yeah.
And the media, the liberal media, the Democrats, they all have control issues. And until Republicans and conservatives and libertarians have to get that through our thick skulls and get that together.
Some of these Democrats are just so arrogant, and they think they're incredibly intelligent when they're not. Like, they love to pretend to have these context and nuanced conversations.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care about us. They don't care about crime. They don't care about safety. They care about one thing, and that's partisan politics winning, and then those career politicians just fundraising off of all of this stuff as they separate and divide us and lie to us.
If we had a who won YouTube comments, JR would win YouTube comments. He says basically what they're saying is what they're advocating for is censorship.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to silence anybody that does not fit into their little box.
That is exactly what they're saying.
And Trump doesn't fit into their nice little politically correct swamp creature box.
Speaking of censorship, one more clip here. I didn't get to play this earlier. Elon Musk on CNBC was asked about, speaking of censorship, the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, and he said this.
You do some tweets that seem to be, or at least give support to some who would call others conspiracy theories.
Well, yes, but I mean, honestly, some of these conspiracy theories have turned out to be true.
Which ones?
Well, like the Hunter Biden laptop.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was a pretty big deal. There was Twitter and others engaged in active suppression of information that was relevant to the public. That's a terrible thing that happened. That's election interference.
Here's the thing, and to Dawn's point of control and silencing the opposition, they can silence, Joe Blow with 52 followers, right? Mm-hmm. They can't shut down Donald Trump, and they can't shut down a guy like Elon Musk, because Elon Musk has FU money.
Yep. And
he just said, you know what? I'll lose $22 billion on my Twitter investment to restore free speech, and that's why they don't like him.
Yep.
There you go. All right, as we find out what's on tap for the Dawn Show in just about 7 minutes, what do we got coming up at 10 o'clock, Dawn?
Coming up, you'll hear from Riley Gaines updating her testimony, her congressional testimony, so that will be fantastic. Riley Gaines in the news once again. And at 11, we'll talk to local police chief, Abington Police Chief. This is Patrick Malloy. Pat Malloy is going to stop in, talk about their latest efforts, what they're doing, how they're training officers in the suburbs, what they're facing, and as well paying tribute, as we are paying tribute this week. And I know right now, and on a national level, we have the White House paying tribute to fallen officers in Deptford, New Jersey, Chicago. We have a lot of officers across the nation, NYPD, where they're grieving these officers killed in the line of duty. So it's very real, the dangers that officers who are on the front lines of this high crime wave that we're experiencing. So we'll talk about that and have a deep dive and kind of pick Chief Pat Malloy's brains in Abington. He's a great guy, and I know he's a listener to us. So we'll talk to Chief Malloy coming up at 11.
All right, Dawn Show coming up in 5 minutes as we wrap it up with Who Won Twitter today.
Who won Twitter?
Sid, our buddy Sid wins. And by the way,
Sid Weiss?
Yeah, his avatar is a picture of me with exaggerated eyes and lips.
How does that sound?
But thank you for that, Sid. Sid wins Twitter saying, Nick, you can buy an FM channel with all your sports gambling winnings.
Well, if you follow my March Madness picks, that's not going to be. That's not going to be happening anytime soon.
I was just going to say.
You can follow Greg Stocker's NBA picks, and then you can buy an FM stick.
That's not true.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have breaking news of a certain inmate escapee, maybe in custody at this point.
Oh, wow. They finally got him.
Yeah, we got some breaking news going on.
There we go. Big news on the way.
Was he dressed as a woman?
Does he identify as a
One of
woman?
them was.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked.
There we go. All right, The Dawn Show, it's coming up next. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we will talk to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. on Kayal Company.
Damn it!